Did you know that Uganda's relationship with chicken goes beyond mere farming? It is a story of culture, innovation, and economic power. In Ugandan traditions, chickens are more than just food. Traditional local chickens are gifts of honor at marriages, symbols of welcome for important guests, and even used in traditional healing practices. When a special visitor arrives, the gift of a chicken speaks volumes about their importance. Uganda's poultry industry is a diverse family of feathered champions. Meet our star performers, the efficient layers producing up to 300 eggs yearly. The fast-growing broilers ready for market in just 6 weeks, and our resilient local breeds, the true all-rounders, providing both eggs and meat while adapting perfectly to our climate. These local champions take just 21 days to hatch their eggs, and in a mere 5 to 6 months, they are ready for laying or market. But here's what's truly incredible. Uganda produces over 40 million chickens annually, with small-scale farmers being the backbone of this industry. However, it's not all smooth sailing. Our feathered friends face challenges like Newcastle disease, coccidiosis, and chicken pox. But thanks to the modern veterinary practices and traditional knowledge, Ugandan farmers are becoming masters at disease management. Want to hear something amazing? Uganda exports over 2 million kilograms of poultry products annually to neighboring countries. And it's not just about the meat. Every part of the chicken creates value, from eggs to feathers, from fertilizer to feed. Nothing goes to waste. Speaking of value, let's talk nutrition. Ugandan chicken meat is packed with protein, essential vitamins like B6 and B12, and minerals including zinc and iron. It's nature's multivitamin in a delicious package. And the possibilities are endless. From traditional local dishes to Luwombo to modern fast food chains, Uganda entrepreneurs are revolutionizing chicken processing, smoked chicken, chicken sausages, chicken nuggets. Innovation is the name of the game. From farm to fork, Uganda's chicken industry isn't just about food. It's about heritage, health, and hope. It's about combining age-old wisdom with modern techniques to create something truly extraordinary. In Uganda's fertile valleys towers a crop that has sweetened our nation's economy for generations. Welcome to the remarkable world of Ugandan sugarcane. Long before modern sugar mills, our ancestors discovered the sweet secrets of sugarcane. In many Ugandan communities, the sharing of freshly pressed sugarcane juice marked celebrations and sealed friendships. Today, that same spirit of sharing sweetness continues in both traditional and modern forms. Nature orchestrates an incredible performance in our sugarcane fields. From planting to harvest takes 12 to 14 months, but here's the amazing part. A single planting can yield multiple harvests through ratoon cropping for up to 4 years. Watch as these green giants reach heights of over 6 meters, their stems containing up to 14% sugar content, among the highest in East Africa. While smut disease and stem borers challenge our farmers, Uganda's agricultural expertise prevails. Our annual production exceeds 500,000 metric tons of sugar, with major players like Kakira, Lugazi, and Kinyara leading the way. From these fields, a single mature stalk can produce enough sugar for a family's weekly consumption. Follow the journey from the field to table. Careful harvesting, rapid transportation, crushing, classification, evaporation, and crystallization. Modern mills operate 24/7 during peak season, transforming raw cane into crystal sugar, molasses, and bagasse. nothing goes to waste in this remarkable process. Beyond sweetness, sugarcanes offers surprising benefits. The natural juice contains essential minerals, antioxidants, and electrolytes. Our processing creates not just sugar, but also molasses rich in iron and calcium, while bagasse powers our meals through sustainable energy generation. Today's sugarcane industry reaches far beyond traditional sugar production. Watch as innovation creates electricity from bagasse, ethanol for fuel, organic fertilizers, and even sustainable packaging materials. Uganda's sugar exports now reach across East Africa, contributing significantly to regional food security. This is Uganda's sugarcane industry, where every stalk contributes to national prosperity. High in Uganda's mountains, where clouds kiss the earth, grows a legacy of excellence that spans over a century. Welcome to Uganda's tea story, where attitude and latitude create the perfect cup. Tea in Uganda transcends mere refreshment. Since its introduction in 1900, it has become woven into our social fabric. From elaborate afternoon teas reflecting our British colonial heritage to the warm welcome of chai in every home, tea ceremonies mark moments of connection and community. Nature's patience reveals itself in every tea bash. These remarkable plants begin their journey as tiny seedlings, taking 3 years to mature. But here is the extraordinary part. With proper care, these bushes continue producing the finest leaves for
of the day.
Family from the various sources, such as inspirational profiles.
Having disability is not inability.
Every Friday 9 p.m. it's one-on-one with Michael Jordan Lukomwa.
Don't you see anywhere that you would give a credit in the fight against COVID?
My role as the owner of the country is not to, be preoccupied by giving credit to my servant.
We have said that if we are to talk to General Museveni, there must be certain conditions in place.
Is it true that you paid 5 million shillings to MPs that voted for?
Was brought to you by
I'll call you every day, yeah, yo, baby, dondolo.
You can now get all the Chibuzi out with MTN voice bundles. Call all networks, Kubei Dondolo. Buy a 25-minute voice bundle for only 1,000, or buy any daily voice bundle of your choice. Dial *100 *21# and select daily, or use the My MTN app. When we talk together, we are unstoppable.
Another day into the comprehensive Africa Agriculture Development Program, Caadp. And once again, my name is Patricia Lukoma Mpango, and in just a short while, I'll be joined by Dr. Kayizi Kayuchi. He's the Principal Research Officer at National Agricultural Laboratories, and he's an expert in soils and environment and meteorology. Yes, I guess I pronounced that right. Now, before we delve a little bit into the technicalities, just a bit of update on some of the arrivals at Entebbe commercial area. We're having His Excellency João Lorenzo, the President of Angola. He's already in the country, and later on we're expecting to have the Tanzania's Prime Minister to arrive. Of course, we will be unveiling those updates as they unfold. The Vice President is already in Munyonyo for the participation in the discussions that will be taking place at the comprehensive Africa Agriculture Development Program. Again, it is a flagship program, a continent policy framework for agriculture transformation, and this is geared towards wealth creation, food security, nutrition security, and in the end economic growth. And we're not just talking about economic growth, but inclusive economic growth, meaning prosperity for each and every individual. The second day, some of the expectations, and that is today, the second day of the summit, this 10th of January 2025, is more dedicated on the considerations of ministers of foreign affairs. So the discussions will be revolved around information that will guide us in how to relate in the area of customs and foreign affairs and all that. So right now, without taking any time, I would want to welcome Dr. Kayizi Kayuchi. Is already with me here on the set. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks very much.
Yes, Dr. Kayizi is a very interesting man. In the back office, we've been having a very interesting, interesting discussions here. He's the Principal Research Officer at National Agricultural Laboratories, and he's an expert in soils and environment and agrometeorology. Yes, thank you so much.
It's a pleasure.
At the heart of Caadp, the comprehensive Africa Agriculture Development Program, at the heart of this commission, they're centered towards eliminating hunger, yes, and ensuring food security, nutrition security, yes, and to be able to have that in place, we need to have good soils.
Definitely.
Now, as an expert of soils and environment, can you just give us a little bit of your take on, well, the African Union came up with this plan, knowing that as joint member states, we have a leverage where we can leverage on as Africans. Yeah, the continent has got about 60% of arable land. That is what, probably it's a myth, but that's what we know, that 60% of African land is arable. So that means that we should have less imports in, yes, terms of food security. Yes. Just give us an overview of that.
Yeah, thanks, Patricia. I think as you say, as you have said clearly, the objective of this meeting is to ensure food security, and nutrition plus economic empowerment. There is no way we can attain them without handling the soils. The soils is always, we came from the soils and we are going back to the soils.
Amen.
You realize that African soils, the major challenge we have, they are very old in terms of millions or billions of years. After being very old, they are really fragile. They need to be handled with care. Unlike the soils in Europe, which were developed when the glaciers receded, our soils are very old. Rains have gone through. They have lost all the nutrients because they have lost all the nutrients because of the poor management. The soils are fragile. They are very poor in nutrients. I don't want to be too technical. And even the parameters which normally assist us hold the nutrients, they are very low. So being poor, to achieve food security, let's manage the soils better. It's really very good that the political wing of the African Union, they have really made the action plans. How they have the fertilizer and soil action plan. How do we handle it? And unless we handle the soils, we cannot attain food security and also nutrition security, plus a common economic empowerment. As I've said, the soils depend, the many soils in the tropics, not all, they depend on soil organic matter.
Okay.
What we mean by soil organic matter, when these organic materials degrade, the remnants are the one what we call soil organic matter. And it's the one, when that organic matter is normally holds the nutrients. You know, when it rains, normally because we have too much rain, for example, like here in Uganda, when it rains, all the nutrients go with the water. As the water goes through the soils, so they take the nutrients. So, and then also, in addition to that, our African farmers have not considered the soils as a bank.
Okay.
You see, when a plant grows on the soil, it absorbs, takes the nutrients from the soil. When you harvest the product, you take away all those nutrients.
Okay.
It's like you, Patricia.
So every harvest.
Yes, through harvest. Because when the plant was growing on the soil, it absorbed the soil,
certain nutrients.
The nutrients.
Okay, okay.
I think they're almost 18. From the soil, they take it up, they make the food we take. When you harvest that crop, all the nutrients which came from the soil are taken away. It's like robbing the bank. You have an account. You don't replenish your account. Finally reach a stage when there are no nutrients. That's why when people are growing crops, after they have just harvested the cleared land or forest, the plants are very tall. With the time, next season, they become shorter, until you find a stage when you have a maize crop which is producing maize crop when it is less than 3 meters, 3 feet, that's 1 meter.
Okay.
That's a disaster. This shows that the soils are gone. Poor management. They don't have nutrients. The little which are there
are already being
taken every
every season.
They are not replenished.
Okay.
That's one of the challenges. And even in some cases, this too much rains are also destroying our soils because the nutrients are going. Technologies are there. Because, like, as we have said, organic matter is there to hold on the nutrients. As we have said now, like in Africa, we are talking of soil health. Where soil health? Farmers mainly consider the fertility chemistry, the nutrients. But to get those nutrients, the soil has to have physical property. That's the physical fertility. Does the water move properly through the soil? Is there air? Does the air move to the soil? You find that, for example, now when you go to your compound, the courtyard, the compound, that thing is hard. You can put a maize crop when maize proceed there. It's not going to germinate because the physical properties are gone. What about the biology?
So it is the physical properties that make the soil hard.
Yes, when the physical properties are poor, the soil
becomes hard.
Water doesn't enter the soil.
Okay.
When there's no water in the soil, even if there are nutrients there, the plant is not going to take up.
So this is what we call dry land.
No. Dry land, that is the environment. They are getting less rain. Yes, those are what they call dry land.
The dry land,
yes,
okay.
Naturally, because of where they are located in the hemisphere. And also, there's soil biology. In the soil biology, these are the animals, the insects, whatever you find there. So they are very important. You find a big tree, it has been cut or it has fallen by the wind. It has to be worked on by the organism, so the rats, the termites, the earthworms, and those ones, the tiny ones which we don't see with the naked eye. You get it? That's why soil health encompasses chemistry, by the nutrients, how the water and the air moves the soil, and also the animals which are there. We need them. Yes. Okay. So in view of that, that's why, because the soils are poor, people are not using fertilizer. Actually, I'm a soil science. When I talk about fertilizers, the audience should not think that I'm talking about chemical fertilizers only.
Manure,
To us
water,
as soil
bio.
scientists, what we call a fertilizer is a material you put the soil to supply nutrients to the crop you are growing.
Okay.
So that when the plants take those nutrients, then the plant will give you a good yield.
Okay.
Yes.
So now, Doctor, you have, in detail, you have given us the current challenge that Africa is facing, and that is suffering from a rapid degradation because of poor management of soils. So is there a required way of managing soil?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, already research has been going on for many years. There are recommendations. First, we should know that our soils are very, very fragile. They need to be handled with care. So, like for example, like here in Uganda, the Ministry of Agriculture recommends to use your land for 6 years.
Okay.
3 years grow crops.
Okay.
3 years allow it to rest. So that it can regain the fertility. During the 3 years, use organic and inorganic fertilizers. That's why at times I almost almost run crazy. Why people out there are decamping the use of inorganic fertilizers? Yet the government is recommending that. In addition to that, do proper crop rotation. Okay. Control soil erosion. It's a monster which is destroying our soils. Even if we use fertilizers, organic or inorganic, you have not controlled soil erosion. All your nutrients will be taken away. And like in all tropical soils, our soils are very shallow.
So what you're trying to say is that if we give the soil a period of rest, then it regenerates new nutrients.
Nutrients coming.
Because I was of a view that soil is soil. It was created by God. So there's no need to have any mechanisms to twist it around. It is soil. It is already created by the big man. Yeah.
God.
Yeah, God. The Bible says the world and all its fullness belong to him. So do you think that the 3 years, because you said a span of 6 years, use the land for 3 years and then have it rest for 3 years? So the nutrients regenerate again.
Yeah, it regenerates. But I think, Patricia, the problem we have, because of the increasing population pressure, that recommendation is no longer feasible. In places like a Parisambal in the highlands, where the population pressure is very high.
Okay.
It is not feasible. So if that is not feasible, let's use the way the president is telling us. Let's do farming scientifically. Let's use technologies.
Okay.
You cultivate a small area, use good technologies, recommend technologies, which are available in Naro, which extension officers and those can pick from Naro, and then they go and use it. We are no longer in an era. We want to increase productivity. One of the challenges which we identified within the government of Uganda, National Development Plan 3. Now we are going National Development Plan 3. Now we are going to National Development Plan 4. 5. It is low agricultural production and productivity. And that was thing, because of the productivity, you are cultivating big chunks of land. But you get very yield. I can give an example like maize. The average average yield of maize in Uganda is 1.6 tons per hectare, or 80 bags in an acre. Yet I think we have had
these are statistics in our country.
The average is 80 bags of maize in an acre
of land.
Yes, those are 20 bags in an hectare for the benefit of the international audience. But now the breeders of maize, you hear, I don't know how we call them, announcements about the people are promoting their product. They say this maize variety, you can get 30 bags of maize in an acre, 40 bags. But a poor farmer is getting even 8.
Even 8
is an average. Go to, I was listening in Dokolo. Farmers are getting 2 bags of maize in an acre. Yesterday I was in Bugweri. They are getting 4 bags.
4 bags.
Yes. He has a family to feed. He has children to educate. And even the worst thing, related about productivity, because low production, you have food insecurity. Food is not enough. With the time of opening more line to feed our families are gone. Secondly, when the new crops are taking up nutrients from the soil, you realize that those nutrients get depleted. A plant is growing, but the quality of the food, even the milk farmers are taking, is poor. That's why now here governments, the UN agencies are telling the Mukwanos, let's fortify our products.
But I think...
because the soils are gone. Because like now, before you intervene, like in the past, to show you the extent of the damage you have done, in the past, Ministry of Agriculture was recommending using 2 nutrients, nitrogen and phosphorus, so to use that science. But now, we have gone to NPK.
And NPK, is
nitrogen,
is it
phosphorus
viable?
And potassium.
Okay.
These are available in the market. Then, in some cases, we are adding secondary and micronutrients. They are no longer available in the soil. Yes. Because of the mismanagement of these fragile.
So if someone does not have the luxury of allowing the land to relax for three years, then they need to apply the nutrients within the soil to have it, be more productive.
Yes.
And that is what is challenging with the African farmers. Now, this is something that needs to be put on the table before they even go further. But the beauty about it is that the African Union Commission is running side by side, looking for all ideas to better. And I love the fact that they're so centered on agriculture. They're trying to remove agriculture from the depths and bringing it onto economic planning. Because now there is even a directive that 10% of each budget should be allocated, and in fact 10% and above should be allocated to the agriculture industry or sector. But for Uganda specifically, you're bringing out an issue that I see that probably agricultural advocates, many specialists have not brought this up. And sometimes we are lost because there's some information we are missing out. And now if you bring this on the table, managing soils should be key. In fact, it should be priority. It should be a banner that all farmers hold. Like, I need to know my seasons. I need to know when to plant, when to harvest. Because now you said after harvest, those soils are damaged.
The nutrients are removed.
Already, yes. And there's need for the land to relax. And that's what we don't know. I was thinking I can buy my acre land and plant maize this season, the next season, the other season, thinking that soil is soil. Nothing happens to this soil. But now again, you're bringing an issue. What if I have just one small land and I want to utilize it fully? I don't want it to rest. Yes, I will include some nutrients into the land, but how about if this season I put maize and the next season I put sweet potatoes and then the other season I put banana matoke plantation? Would that also harmonize on the situation?
Yeah, I think you are right. What the recommendation, as I told you in the beginning, when you plan to use your crop for US land for 6 years, 3 crops grow, 3 seasons grow crops, 3 years, another 3 years allow it to rest. But when you are growing crops, when you are planting crops, use manure, organic materials, use inorganic fertilizers.
Inorganic and
inorganic fertilizer. Because when I use fertilizers, the challenge we have with our audience, they think that fertilizers you are referring to a chemical. But to me, as a scientist, fertilizer is what you add to the soil to supply nutrients which are required by the plant.
Okay.
As you have said, you have an acre of land. When you are growing crops, please feed that crop with the nutrients from outside.
Before you put in the soil?
No, when you're growing the crops in a season, feed your crop with the nutrients. It's the way you like food. That's the way the plants are. If you don't feed your crops with food from outside, the soils are going to get damaged. So
I'm trying to understand that specific area there. I feed the crops from outside before
you
I
add
put
the nutrients. No. You follow the recommendation. You are to plant it, you put this type, whether you use manure, the organic, or you use inorganic fertilizer.
Okay, so the
food, follow the
food you're supposed to give this crop should go in first.
Yes,
before?
when you are planning,
Okay.
it depends on
Okay.
the day. Already, there are recommendations how to use these external sources of nutrients. And one of the reasons why our soils are damaged is what we call nutrient mining. We remove more than what we add.
Than what we add.
I can give you an example. The average use of inorganic fertilizer used in a country is less than 4 kilograms of nutrients per hectare. Yet, African governments committed themselves in 2006, Abuja Declaration, that by 2015 or 2000, we should be using 50 kilograms of nutrients. So this idea of mining and the poor management. Because if your soil is good, you see the problem, our stakeholders, there's a misconception. If your soils are good, you better start feeding those soils. Because whenever, as Patricia have told you, when you grow cassava, maize, whatever, they are taking nutrients away from the soil. Next season, replace those nutrients. That's what the Europeans are doing. I got, for example, 2 tons of maize. Next season, go and buy 2 bags of urea, 2 bags of DAP, and replace. The maize you have, the nutrients which have gone with that maize of yours, which you have sold or eaten, you are replacing them. Otherwise, if you don't, your soils are going to be depleted. That's why maize starts, whatever cassava starts tall, going shorter and shorter. Crop rotation is very good, both for diseases and the nutrients. But even if you do crop rotation without feeding the soil, feeding the crop.
Okay, Dr. Kayizi, thank you very much. We're going to continue this discussion.
No problem, I know.
We do have, I'm receiving some information that Tanzania's Prime Minister is already in the country. We're going to Odulo McArnold to give us the details there on what's happening. Odulo McArnold, let's hear from you.
Live watchers of UBC, Air Tanzania has just arrived with the Prime Minister of Tanzania, Kassim Majaliwa, escorted by airport VIP staff and Ministry of Foreign Affairs protocol officers. As you can see, the march is moving right so fast because these are high-level delegates landing on a commercial plane and landing especially on a commercial airfield is not something they can delay about. So the protocol team is escorting him, I suppose, to the VIP lounge where he will be debriefed, and they will be telling him where he's going to be staying. His protocol team will be assigned to him also, along with his security team. And that's what's happening. As you can see, it's a pandemonium of activity here. No time to waste. Straight off the plane into the airport building. About 7 or 8 delegates with him. This is coming to you live from Entebbe International Airport, the commercial wing. And right about now we are, so just to enlighten you about the Prime Minister of Tanzania, Kassim Majaliwa. He is the current Prime Minister of Tanzania, who has held this position since November 20th, 2015. He was appointed by the former President John Magufuli following the 2015 general elections. So he has been a member of the ruling party Chama Pinduzi and represents the Ruangwa constituency in parliament. His tenure has seen him involved in various governmental reforms and initiatives reflecting the administration's focused on improving education and governance in Tanzania. His appointment was somewhat unexpected, as he was relatively new to high-level politics at that time, but he has since established himself as a significant figure in Tanzanian politics. And right here, he's here for the climax of the comprehensive Africa Agriculture Development Program. This is all coming to you live from Entebbe International Airport. Your finance protocol officers, courtesy greetings happening here. We're expecting the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, the Minister of Foreign Affairs to come, ushering him in with the Ministry of Minister of Agriculture too, Mr. Frank Tumwebaze, to come in too, sharing a few words.
Hello, hello, hello. Well, that was Wadulo McArnold giving us a brief on, basically an update on what's happening there at the airport, commercial ground. Tanzania's Prime Minister, Kassim Majaliwa, is already in the country, and the protocol team already is with him. Yes, tunasema shikamo kwa Prime Minister. Welcome to Uganda. Yeah, feel at home. And of course, he's here for the Comprehensive Africa Agriculture Development Program. Day 2 is going to be more centered on issues to do with consideration of issues to do with foreign affairs, customs, and all those other issues. In studios, I'm still joined with Dr. Kaizi Kayuchi. He's the Principal Research Officer at National Agriculture Laboratories, Kawanda. And he's an expert in soils, environment, and agrometeorology. Where we took off from, he was giving us details of, how best we can use the soils. If we separated a period of time, probably 3 years, utilize the land, and then 3 years, give it a bit of rest, so that the nutrients that were absorbed can get back into the land. There is something about, you talked about in our discussion, you talked about soil health. Yes. And with soil health, you mentioned something to do with soil biology and then soil chemistry. These are very important for soil to function well. Now, what is ecological functions in this area?
I think before we proceed, I think what I may, as you have said, this resting the land, let's clarify this. It's no longer feasible in most areas.
It's not doable.
The land is not there. Let farmers use technologies. Let them intensify.
So the resolution would be technologies. Technologies,
which I recommend, they're already there. Let them use them properly. You have small piece of land, use the technologies, you get higher production. Because as I've said, the major change in the country is agricultural production and productivity. Yes. Now, when we go to the ecological functions of the soils, when you consider the soils by its nature, it cleanses our systems. You find that by its nature, because the problem, I don't want to be too technical, I try to be as simple as possible. Whatever, like now, if you cut a tree, you drop an organic materials there, the soil animals, soil biology will come and work on that organic materials to break it down, and it goes back where it came from. You say big tree, after some years, you don't see anything. Those are the ecological functions. That's why when it comes to soil health, we need soil biology. The animals, the organisms should be there, because they are the big ones which cut the big way. The termites come, the earthworms come, This one we don't see with the naked eye. Now, when it comes to toxic materials, some which are put there intentionally or unintentionally, the soils has the capacity to absorb them, to hold them on the soil particles so that they don't enter into the system, in the water. And then that's the soil chemistry. Because if I talk about the pH, when the soils are good pH, which should be, we maintain them in a good pH, the soil will be able to perform all the ecological function, to remove the pollutants from the system. Until you reach a stage when the pollutants are too many, then the soil's capability, buffering capacity, breaks down. It's a bit to hold on those nutrients. Sorry, you're a pastor, but I can use this one. Like somebody who takes a beer.
Yes.
The person can take 5 bottles. But when you go beyond that, and this capacity is 7, by the time you go beyond 7, it starts vomiting.
True.
So that has reached the buffering what? It can take 1, it's okay.
Because
2,
the
3.
body has already...
It has reached the maximum it can hold. So if that's our soil. So if you, for example, as I've told you, if you change the physical, the biology is not there. The ecological function is not functioning. The organic matter, even before the organic matter, even they saw pH, our acidity or alkaline the soil. Because if the soil is too acidic, toxic materials enter into the system and the plants take them up. The plants are not going to grow properly. That is it.
Okay.
That's the ecological functions.
Okay.
Even cleaning the water. Yes.
Okay, so in an area where, let's say, the land is being degraded by probably factories that pour waste, yeah?
They're not allowed.
It's not allowed,
It's
but
not allowed.
somehow we have it.
You have to clean it.
How do you clean that now?
They have to pay for the cleaning. There are processes. When the toxic are there, they use the chemistry to remove those toxic materials. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So
the people, I think under law, if you degrade like those industries, when you degrade the environment, they are supposed, even worldwide, to revert, to take it back, to revert that land back, to invest their money, to take it back to its original conditions. And the NEMA is there, government institutions are there to ensure that the environment is not degraded through carelessness. Yes.
So now, I think Africa, yes, in general, but also Uganda in particular, we need to have more awareness in these issues on how to accurately utilize the land. And you've said it is okay now, we can use technology, we can use we can utilize the new technologies that are available for us in the agriculture. Yes, but people are not aware of that. That's the challenge. So that is where we need experts like you to be part of these discussions, to be part of the policy frameworks, to sit down with government, because now this is the core area for growing the economy. Yes, it's already at the center of discussions. Yeah, if it is bringing 55 member states to discuss, then it's quite something that we can leverage on to better our GDP, yeah, to better our economic performance. And why don't you table this? Why don't you come up with these ideas and table this on?
I think we participate. NARO is a government institution. When they are formulating policies, we are in the background. A policy cannot come out unless technical people have provided their technical input. For example, like now, the government is now developing the land policy. We have the fertilizer policy, which was enacted in 2016. When we realize that there are some challenges, you have said, there's a lack of awareness. Okay, then we see the companies, whatever they say that we have some challenges within the fertilizer value chain. We sit down. We normally provide our technical input. A person cannot come out without technical technician. The technical people have to provide.
But as national agriculture laboratories,
research laboratories,
laboratories, you must be in position to advise consistently.
We do that.
Then why is
NARO
it
is a
implemented?
government institution. which is open. We work with developing partners. We work with these local governments.
So where is the challenge? Implementation?
I think the challenge is, you see, I think you have seen what has happened with the extension. We are calling about the ratio of extension, farmers to extension. Because ours is agriculture based. We provide technologies. We can do what is possible. There should be technology uptake pathways.
Okay.
To who are close to the farmers, to guide them on the proper use. But the challenge we have, it is not only in Uganda. People will say, for example, we talk of fertilizers. Farmers will tell you that fertilizers are very expensive. But even the government doesn't have money to subsidize. Now we come up as technocrats. If you don't have enough money to buy, what we have recommended to apply on your rice or whatever, combine the two, organic and inorganic. Yes. I think another problem we have, like for example in soil management, is lack of knowledge out there. You may find, I can use the words of Professor Bekunda. He said about fertilizers, the inorganic one. People are selling fertilizer. The people selling fertilizer, they don't know what they are selling. The extension officers give guiding, advising farmers to know how to use the fertilizers. They don't know what they advise on. And also the farmers buying, they don't know what they are buying. So there is a knowledge gap.
A knowledge gap. So we
and also, with that knowledge gap, you have, even if you buy a fertilizer without knowledge how to use it, it is a wasted money. Yes, even not because like now, for example, like a technology for nutrition, you need to handle productivity.
I'm trying to figure out something. So, government has come up with a lot of programs.
Yes.
To help alleviate poverty.
Definitely.
Yes, and take us to a middle income status. Yeah, but the focus is more on giving out money. How about if they invested this money, instead of giving 1 million to different communities, different organizations, because these people come in, they create an umbrella, and then $1 million is given to each member to be able to better, their businesses. And how about if this money came in form of a package for farmers, nutrients, fertilizers?
Yes.
So I think this would also be another way of engaging farmers into productivity.
I think the problem is misconception by farmers. Farmers think that this is free money. But to get this, they are not sincere. Actually, the problem, Ugandans were not sincere. If people will say, because actually they are just fooling themselves, Pastor, they will come, they deceive these officials who are evaluating their proposals. A farmer say that is going to go for poultry, and when they get the money
they do something else,
not knowing that they are just cheating themselves. Because if you really say that my sons are poor, I want to go to buy fertilizers, go to an extension officer to advise you, I'm going to grow this crop. You need this type of fertilizer. Because like now in the market, we have fertilizers for maize, we have fertilizers for beans, we have fertilizers for coffee, whatever crop. We are no longer one size fits all. And the extension officer has that knowledge. He gives you the technical knowledge.
Now, knowing the nature of human beings, knowing that when they get this money, they're not going to put it into the right use, then let us give them products.
But even if I can give you an example, they can, like, for example, we had a fertilizer subsidy in Kenya. But farmers, they think that they are better off by selling that fertilizer to somebody who's going to buy it.
And we get the money.
You as a pastor, it's good I'm talking to a pastor, and reverends, whoever.
Mindset change.
People should know. Like a Mioga, like a PDM. This is government money. It's their money. And the government is trying to improve, because you are saying, I go to money lenders, I go to the banks. Banks are not willing to do agricultural financing. The government put money to do for agricultural financing, but accessing it is a problem. Those guys are also in their own world. You get it?
Yes.
Now, the government has given you, because as the president said, 200,000 can make a change. Somebody selling banana.
True.
But when that person now gets the money, they forget that this money is for investment. That's why we prefer the banks.
But
70% is bank money, 30% is your money. But you as pastors, we really need to change our mindset. Should it be through education?
Yes, a mindset change definitely has to be with preaching to them, giving them the knowledge that would help them change, and also helping them eliminate the old beliefs. Because people think when you have money in your hands, it is much better than utilizing it into the rightful.
I totally agree with you. I think we need a revolution to do that. Because really, who is going to really to convince a farmer that this money is not for free? The farmer uses like so many people have borrowed the money. They have a very good visibility study. I borrows the money and then he turns it to use it for
something else. Yes.
Now it is just mindset change because the government, because when we are participating in doing government programs, as we normally come in as technocrats. We give like now you are going to use a fertilizer. We tell you how you should use it properly. You get it. But now here you find an agro-input dealer. For him, he's after money. He's not sincere to the what? To the farmer. To the farmer. Now, even after that, what is really, because we are many, this is our kind of food security.
You have a minute left?
Yes, no problem. This is our kind of food security. We really need to have the off-takers who are going to buy the surplus product. Yes. Any technology, if you don't use, and even in agriculture, so my fertilizer management is just, it is just a single technology. But we need a basket of technologies.
Okay, so just your last remarks in just...
so my remark...
30 seconds.
30 seconds. Farmers should use to show that we survive on the soils.
Okay.
Let them manage them better so that the health is not damaged. When you buy fertilizers, you should buy the right type, apply the right amount, use that at the right time, and using the right method. That's all. That's my message. Let's manage we borrowed this word from our children and grandchildren. Let's give it to them better. There's no way we are going to increase production, improve our livelihood without using technologies. And we are supposed to use the technologies as a basket. Good seeds, fertilizers, good agronomic practices, pest and disease control, proper marketing, and then farmer livelihood will improve.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you very much, Dr. Kaizi Kaichi. Thank you so much.
That's the best thing.
He's a very interesting man, a great speaker indeed. Thank you so much. You have enlightened us more on soils, and now we do have the dedication within us. One thing I know that is at the heart of African Union, in 2023, they came up with another declaration, the African Fertilizers and Soil Health Action Plan, that they gave a 10-year span. And he has informed me that in August 2024, there was a Nairobi declaration on this same, Africa Fertilizer and Soil Health Action Plan. So we know that help is on the way as we come in with different experts to help us understand different avenues on how to maneuver through the agriculture sector, help us understand the soils, help us understand the climate. These things will help us to grow and go forward in the agriculture sector. And again, just making sure that it is at the center of economic planning. Now, as we rush onto Munyonyo, President Kassim Majaliwa is already in the country. He arrived from Tanzania and he is here for the the Comprehensive Africa Agriculture Development Program, which is still continuing at Munyonyo. So let us go to Munyonyo straight away and hear more on what's happening there.
Unfortunately, the African continent may be leaping. So this initiative, and of course gathering us here, is a mind-boggling kind of session for us to understand what the potential that Africa holds. The Africans, my brothers and sisters who are here, if we are not there in industrialization, if we are not there in technology per se, What of agriculture? Maybe we would try agriculture, and then the other equation would be balanced. But also agriculture, we seem to be limping. So, gathering us here, I want to thank the organizers because it's a very good area of study. Now, for us in Uganda, and from the Uganda People's Defense Forces, we have tried to conceptualize and contextualize food security as a threat. We follow this from there is a gentleman called Balen Buzan. In 1996, Balen Buzan is one of the greatest scholars. He was studying the context of security. So he was asking his colleagues, should we look at security from a traditional angle where soldiers are in the barracks, police is doing this, then prisons? When they discussed, they realized that the security aspect must be widened to include security of human beings. That when your neighbor goes hungry, it should be a concern of the state and the nation. Because when we get around 100 or 1,000 people hungry, the next move will be them going to the streets to demand for food. So something that started as an individual problem of lack of food becomes a national issue. So then you now see police, you see the army, you see all this, you see the other coming into. So in order to be ahead of this, for us in security, we are looking at all these as threats. We look at if it's not raining somewhere, is it going to affect food production? Yes. If farmers are not going to the garden, is it going to have a security impact on our country? Yes. So the moment we do that, we are going to have ourselves trying to look at how Africa should position itself. I want to quote that this is from our president, the commander-in-chief. He says that Africa, as a continent, we have a very huge potential of producing food for the entire world. But what makes us even wonder more is that it rains for only, like here in Uganda, you can have rain throughout. So people are naturally dependent on nature. Now when it takes like a month without raining, people say, oh, it seems God has forgotten us. And yet there are countries where it takes almost a full year without rain, but they are able to produce food for others. So who should be ashamed in this? Is God unfair to Africa? Is it true? No. So we need to be picking very serious stories in this endeavor. Just imagine, the other time I was in Jordan. I don't know whether there's somebody who comes from Jordan here. Jordan is completely, it's completely like a desert. But they are able to produce matoke. I don't know whether you have tasted some matoke here. When you are now taking to Jordan, almost at the border with Israel, they grow matoke, and I was amazed. And they are able to export it to other countries without rain, without enough water. Now you have a huge African continent where you're crossing from one village to another. You have water there. Crossing from one region to another region, there is water there, very quiet, and it is complaining, nobody is using it. Then we have rivers that flow almost 1,000 miles from these countries called Africa into the ocean, and then we say, we are poor, let's be ashamed. So the mothers and the youth who are here, and of course those who are elsewhere, we are talking about an African continent that has the potential to feed the whole world. The only thing is that we are engrossed with the illusions of, I think we cannot do it. Now for us here in the military, we have gone into food production, and now our soldiers have units where they are able to produce food for the soldiers themselves first. Then number two, we are into wealth creation. Our officers are attached to other places in order to assist in understanding food as an aspect of security. So those initiatives, with the initiative of youth inclusion through the youth livelihood, I don't know whether there's somebody from Ghana here. Ghana? Anybody from? Ah, yes. Our colleagues from Ghana came here, and we were sharing the experience of youth livelihood, and they were able to pick it, and it is working for them miracles. So the youth who are here, I know that some people have made the youth aspect as a permanent identification. You are lying. Actually, you are in transition to adulthood, but they want to keep themselves with the youth. With the youth, that one is a concept that is killing most of our people. You find them in trading centers, in villages. They are not doing anything. The only thing they say, we are the youth. We the youth. So what? So it is something that we need to discuss holistically, that the definitions of a youth should be well defined in the context of solving solutions. Because a man of 60 cannot go in the garden. But you, God that has given from the head to toe, you have the energy to undertake agriculture. But you will say agriculture is for the old people. And that's the concept. I don't know whether this also picks up. They used to say, agriculture is for the old people. Then you find them, everybody is on the road to the Arab world, going to be, I think it's also happening elsewhere in other countries. We see youth on the way too, but there is fertile soil here. So instead of concentrating on agriculture as an aspect, those who are coming from Europe and the America, the richest people are the farmers. Am I lying? And they are very proud. Here, we have made it a point that the agriculturists are the poorest. So everybody shines what? Agriculture. But common sense says you cannot go to bed without food. So the guy who is involved in agriculture is the richest. So as I wind up, I want to say that in this discussion, we need to look at agriculture to embed it in security. And I know there are big people here. I may not have maybe known them, but the moment we link security to agriculture, we shall have a proud Africa. The moment the youth divorce themselves from aspects of calling themselves that they are youth forever, then we shall grow the sector of agriculture. I am very sure that through agriculture, mechanization, we can have other linkages, and Africa can emerge out of agriculture to become an industrial continent. This is what happened in the Canadian. It happens in India. So, if we put agriculture at the forefront, I'm very sure it's not so cost effective like the way industrialization is. I'm very sure we shall be somewhere. Lastly, when you look at the great nations of the world, look at agriculture, security. They mirror their food production as a security aspect, that they are able to feed their population for like 3 years without any, if there is any catastrophe. Let it happen in Africa. Just in 1 week, the entire continent will be crying that people don't have what? Food. So are we able to forecast our food production as an issue of security? Recently, when COVID came, Uganda is one of the only countries that was distributing food to people. But that was a learning curve, that you cannot feed maybe people, the entire population, because as others are running for matoke, others want rice, others want posho. So you cannot, you cannot do it for the entire population. But when the masses are involved in agriculture, I am very sure we shall be one of those continents that everybody admires. I want to thank you so much for listening to me, and may the Almighty God bless you. Eat matoke. Don't leave this place when you have not eaten matoke. Thank you so much.
A warm round of applause once again. The Kano is right. Do not leave this session. Surely do not leave this ground without testing Ugandan food. And thank you once again, Kano Alan Chitanda, who's the Director, Strategic Intelligence and Officer in charge of the youth in the Army, and that is in the Republic of Uganda. Of course, today we're talking about empowering young people and women for more inclusive agri-food systems as we look to transform the agriculture sector in Africa or across the entire continent. Now, before we move on to our next speaker, I would like to mention something very, very important. Now, she's here as a special guest of the President of the Republic of Uganda, that is His Excellency Yoweri Kaguta Museveni. And she's not just in Uganda to visit, but she's here to invest and do a lot of work in creating capacity and also empowering the young people of this nation. Please, ladies and gentlemen, give a warm round of applause to Ms. Stephanie Ruchik, who's the Rotary International President. Today she honors us with her presence and her wisdom. Thank you so much.
Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. John Hemingway once said, "If I have ever seen magic, it has been in Africa." And I have been here for several days, and I have witnessed this here in Uganda, where I began my African magical tour. After Uganda, I will head to Kenya, Senegal, Tunisia, and Egypt. Today, I'm honored to address the ministers from different African continents and delegates who are here at this special seminar. Delegates and ministers, please convey our gratitude to your respective governments for serving as strategic partners in our mission, our Rotary mission of service above self, and for providing resources that support our 7 areas of focus. Those 7 areas of focus are promoting peace, fighting disease, providing clean water, sanitation, and hygiene, saving mothers and children, supporting education, growing local economies, and protecting the environment. And just yesterday, I had the opportunity to protect our environment by initiating a peace forest at the Ngamba Chimpanzee Sanctuary, where we planted trees to commemorate the visit. And they were fruit trees, avocado, and half of them were planted by women. So I truly commend your support for Rotary's advocacy for diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging, making it easier for us to collaborate for a common purpose. And that common purpose, of course, is empowering our young people and women in agribusiness so that we can leverage peace and resilience in Africa's agri-food systems. So this topic integrates Rotary International's peace-building efforts with the Comprehensive Africa Agriculture Development Program because there's a focus on sustainable agriculture and food security, a passion that both organizations believe in. And it also emphasizes the pivotal role of women and young people as drivers of innovation and productivity in agribusiness. It highlights the challenges and opportunities that are presented by forced migration, because it helps us showcase how inclusive approaches can transform our agri-food systems into engines of economic empowerment and societal resilience. So let me talk about three special categories. First, about women and young people being catalysts for change. At Rotary, we have many Rotary-supported initiatives that empower women and youth in agribusiness. But I want to talk about a very special one that has just happened. It is our most recent program of scale. You know, Rotary, since we initiated our foundation years ago in the 50s, have had matching grants, which were small and wonderful ways that Rotarians could work on problems in agriculture or anything, water, sanitation. Then we moved to matching grants, for which they were a bit higher. But now we have something called programs of scale. Millions of dollars invested in programs that are sustainable. Our most recent program of scale was awarded for a program called Partners for Water Access and Better Harvests. This is a 5-year evidence-based program that was designed to improve livelihoods of over 60,000 rural farmers across 4 states in India. And those farmers, in addition to men, include women and young people. Through implementing sustainable agriculture and water management practices, they realize that this is a program that helps a community grow. Farming communities gain knowledge and skills in resilient agriculture practices, such as drip irrigation, layered cropping, and fruit tree cultivation. The program also uses rainwater harvesting, such as check dams and retention ponds, to increase the groundwater availability for farmers by 40%. So what that's doing is improving crop yield. It's providing more food. We also have many other programs that are smaller. Rotary clubs around the world do the same thing. They look at a community or a society of communities and say, what can we make better? So we have sustainable advancements in agribusiness that happen all over the world. Things like feed mills that provide for cattle health and increased milk production. We have hydroponic and vertical farming. We have sensors and control systems that optimize the growing conditions. So there are many ways that Rotary clubs and Rotary districts and Rotary zones contribute to the health of a community and to women and young people who are engaged in agribusiness. The second thing I want to comment on is the forced migration and what we do to integrate people into agribusiness. Uganda has a worldwide reputation as being a model for refugee hosting. Nearly 1.7 million refugees at last count are hosted here, the highest in Africa. In addition to hosting, that offer also includes free access to a plot of land in addition to public services. So refugees become a part of a solution to food production and economic independence. Rotary in other parts of the world, of course, also gets involved in refugee support. The most recent example that you are probably all aware of is in the conflict that's happening in Ukraine. Millions of people have been displaced outside of Ukraine as well as internal displacement. And there are many, many, many Rotary clubs who have come to the forefront to help those refugees figure out how to find livelihood. You may know that Ukraine is often referred to as the breadbasket of Europe because agriculture is an important economic component there. So those refugees who have fled have skills in farming and agriculture. And so when they are relocated in other places, they turn to those skills as a way to continue their economic independence. I want to tell you a special story about a community in Minnesota in the United States, in Minneapolis. Minneapolis happens to be a place where very many Afghan refugees have relocated. The local Rotary formed a Rotary Community Corps. And one of the prime things that that corps did was take the Minnesota driving manual and translate it into Pashto so that the local Afghans could use it to learn about driving, to take the Minnesota State Driver's Test, receive a license, and therefore find a way to get to employment. So you see, Rotary is always engaged in looking at ways to help refugees in a variety of places around the world. The final thing I want to comment on is Rotary's involvement in peace as a foundation for sustainable development. You know, we talk about peace building quite a bit in Rotary, and I want to make it clear to you that that does not mean we are peace brokers. We don't stop wars. What we do is create the environments that are necessary for a peaceful environment. If people are hungry, we go in and provide the food they need. If people lack clean water, we provide access to clean water. Because when people are desperate, they do desperate things. So as Rotarians, we recognize the importance of creating conditions that allow a peaceful society. Just a few hours ago, I happened to have an opportunity to be at Makerere University for the capstone conference presented by the newest class of people who are graduating from the Rotary Peace Center at Makerere. And there was a project that caught my attention, one of many, a young man who had put a program together. It was a drilling initiative for a disabled farmer to mitigate climate change impacts in his village. In other words, the farmer would plant crops, and because of lack of water and irrigation, they didn't make it. They died. So because of this project, with the drilling initiative and the borehole, water was now getting to the plants, and the farmer had a very lush and green crop. This is an example of how young people in our peace programs think about ways that they can invest in local economies and help people who are struggling or who have difficulties making it on their own. And he's just one example. We have 6 peace centers around the globe. We have graduated 1,800 of these young people who are doing the very same thing, looking for ways to make a change in their community. So my call to action for all of you this afternoon is to think about Rotary as a partner. There are many partners that Rotary has, and there are many stakeholders that work with us. Our most shining example, of course, is the partnership we have to end polio around the globe. That's a project that we started in the mid-1980s. We made a promise to children of the world that we would get rid of that disease. And when we started that project, polio, wild polio, was rampant in over 125 countries. And now it is only in 2. And it's not even the whole country. It's the border between Afghanistan and Pakistan, which is a very difficult place to reach because of the geography and the political climate. But we will work on it. We will not give up. Polio will be gone. It's not a matter of if Rotary will get the job done. It's when Rotary will get the job done. So I tell you that because we have a resilience and a persistence. So when you think about programs for engaging young people, engaging women, helping them in agribusiness, Rotary is a strong partner because of that persistence and resilience. So Rotary International can be a valuable partner to address Africa's pressing challenges, and there's a transformative power of peace, which we believe in, inclusion, which we believe in, and collaboration, which we believe in. This year, all Rotarians are working with the theme, in addition to service above self, which is our motto, we're working with the theme of the magic of Rotary. When you partner with Rotary, you see magic happen, because Rotarians unite with our partners to create lasting change around the globe, in our communities, and always in ourselves. Thank you very much for listening. I appreciate your time. Enjoy your afternoon.
Once again for Ms. Stephanie Orchik, who is the Rotary International President. And thank you so much to Rotary International and, of course, all the other partners that are joining us here at the Caadp Kampala Summit and at this specific pavilion. Now, we are shortly moving on to our next session, which will be a panel session.
Welcome to Good Morning Uganda, your go-to morning show to kickstart your day with all the latest updates.
Let's dive deep into issues that matter most to you.
In a world of stories waiting to be told, the headlines are your guide. Navigate the currents of news and knowledge with our daily updates of newspapers. Stay informed, stay empowered.
From the roar of the crowd to the thunder of victory, witness the drama unfold with our sports updates. Whether on the field or in the stands, join us as we celebrate the spirit of champions.
Rise with Good Morning Uganda, weekdays from 6:30 a.m. In a nation hungry for truth, a world where every story matters, there exists a beacon of trust and reliability. For decades, they've been our voice and our window to the world, holding the mirror of our history. With 4 TV stations and 11 radio channels spanning 27 languages, they stand as guardians of information, defenders of truth. With Mascari Heritage Advantage, they uphold every citizen's right to reliable and free information. Their archived stories shaped our past and illuminate our present. Yet now, as new challenges arise and the world evolves, their mission faces its greatest test yet. Be part of our journey and let's navigate the unknown, uncover the untold, and safeguard our future together. Tune into your public broadcaster, for it is the intersection of trust and truth. Because to UBC, your story, and every voice matters. UBC, inspiring Uganda.
Once again, thank you so much for joining us. We are still engaging with the Comprehensive Africa Agriculture Development Program, Caadp, and all talk is about agriculture. From east, west, south, north, we are more technically into the agriculture sector. In our previous interview, we had Dr. Kayizi Kayuchi, a very interesting man there. He is a principal research officer at Narrow Laboratory there at Kawanda. And in studios, once more, I'm joined by great men as well, scientists. I'm talking to doctors, yeah? We have doctors from National Crops Resources Research Institute, again, co-sistering with Narrow. But we will get to that discussion a little bit later. And just more on the updates, we have had arrivals. Yes, we have had arrivals. His Excellency Joao Lorenzo, the President of Angola, is already in town. And then we also have the Tanzania's Prime Minister Kassim Majaliwa has already arrived, and discussions are underway. Our very own Vice President is in Munyonyo. So we are talking about agriculture in specifics. Thank you so much for joining us. Yeah, at the far left, we have Dr. Gabriel Dumba. Yes, Dr. Gabriel Damulira. Sorry, Dr. Gabriel Damulira is the research principal officer, program head, our leader of horticulture and oil, that is oil palm. Yeah, so he's also from National Crops Resources Research Institute, NACRI. Yeah, and then just next to me is Dr. Charles Ruanga Kasozi. Yeah, he's the principal research officer, maize breeder at Narrow, and of course, end correspondent with National Crops Resources Research Institute, NACRI. Thank you so much for joining us. Yes, you're here to simplify some technicalities for the audience out there to understand agriculture. Now that we know that we are going to hold the flag, we're going to be the flag bearers of, taking further the Caadp program. We're going to be part of the secretariat, that hosts the program as per se, because now it's going to be a Kampala declaration. It's no longer Malabo, it's no longer Maputo, so it's Kampala declaration, meaning that each and every stakeholder in the agricultural sector must take part, must play part. So I'll start with maize growing in Uganda. Yeah, a lot of maize growing at the moment, we can say every household can manage to grow maize. But again, I was speaking to a soil expert who says it is a wrong way of farming. It is a wrong way of doing agriculture. If every part of the soil is having the same crop, then there is degradation of the soils. So just take us through maize growing in our country, the status at the moment.
Yeah, thank you so much. Good evening, viewers. My name is Charles Ruanga Kasozi. I'm a maize breeder based at the National Crops Resources Research Institute. As a background about maize, I need to first give the background as a program.
Okay.
I come from the National Maize Research Program, and our mandate is to ensure that we contribute to maize production and productivity enhancement in the country, meaning that we have to develop technologies that are appropriate and they are aimed at enhancing maize production and productivity in the country. They include management practices, both in the field and after harvesting. Then also we have the technologies regarding seed production by developing new maize varieties.
Okay.
So Uganda in general is a major maize producer in the region. In fact, it is a net export of maize. Currently, we have over 1.2 million hectares of maize, of land cultivated by maize in the country. That's the national maize production. And the yields are over 3 million tons in a year. And as I said, it is a net exporter. Over 10% of this volume is exported to the region, to the East Africa region.
80%?
Over 10%.
10%.
Yes.
Okay, so the rest is across the globe?
No, the rest is consumed locally.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Over close to 90%. Yeah. It is exported to Rwanda, Kenya, Tanzania, Burundi, DRC, and Southern Sudan. So that gives the significance of maize in the country.
In the country.
And for your information, currently we have up to 36 million households which grow maize in Uganda, meaning that we have to work hand in hand with them, the farmers, the extension, and private sector in general, to ensure that we develop and deliver appropriate technologies which can help enhance maize production in the country. Yeah, we have a number of challenges, and these challenges are the ones which keep us with doing continuous research to ensure that we overcome such challenges.
So with 90% local consumption, meaning that there is not much business is done across, it's something that we consume within our very own country, of course poses a lot of challenges. But now I wanted us, because now still on maize, as later on we delve into horticulture, do we have, because you're talking about challenges, but among the challenges I know that we probably have, do we have maize varieties, maize varieties for sufficient food supply in the country?
Oh, thank you. Yeah, since the inception of NARO, we have developed and promoted very many maize varieties. There are over 30 maize varieties addressing different constraints in the country. Like a number of them address pests and diseases. They also address drought, and recently we also released some variety which addresses a parasitic weed called striga. We also have varieties which address nutrition. They are rich in nutrients, especially we have a variety which is rich in provitamin A, then another one is rich in protein. So we are developing varieties which are addressing different attributes in the country. Yeah, and we have adequacy of them, but nevertheless, since it's an open market, and there is also arrangement under COMESA, the common market of Eastern and Southern Africa. We have varieties which can be exported outside Uganda, or a few can be imported within Uganda. But all in all, we have developed very many varieties which are boosting maize production in the country.
Okay, but then that shows that in terms of economic growth, we are not utilizing well the 10%, because that's what we export. And what is sold within our very own community, of course, has to vary with the standards of pricing. There's a price in Uganda that we won't go beyond, though it is an economy that is free to do price determinants. So among the pillars of Caadp, Comprehensive Agriculture Development Program.
Yes.
Among the pillars, I like the third pillar, and that has been at the lips of each and every speaker as we hear the statements unfold. So this shows that there is need for increased food supply, first within our very own country, and now we can leverage these 55 member states in terms of export.
Yes, please.
Then the export percentage has to increase from 10% to at least probably 80%, 20 or 30% gradually, to see that we can make money but also have food security within the country.
True. That's very critical. But remember, we need first to be self-sufficient in terms of food security as a country.
90%, it looks like it's too much.
It is too much, true, but it is gradual. We can't run before crawling. So we need to first ensure that we have adequate food for the country. We have enough for human consumption, for livestock, and even for agro-processing. Exactly. Then afterwards, we can think of exporting. But nevertheless, the export is also growing, because at one time it was far less, but considering the trend
and the growth,
I believe in the next few years to even go up to around 25%, considering the trend at which it is increasing, because there is increase in productivity, meaning that the yield per unit area of maize is rising. Some 10 years back, it was less than 5.5 tons per hectare. But right now, it's more than 2.5 tons per hectare. So meaning that whatever acreage of maize we are cultivating, we are getting quite a lot of what? Grain. So once we have adequate for our local use, then the excess will definitely be is exported. But remember, there are even other exports. But maize is this one is basically for maize as a subsector.
Maize as a subsector.
Yes, please.
But I also have an issue with, of course, not just for maize, but all the other, food products on the market. I think the prices, because if you have 90%, consumption in our country, then the maize price should come down. Yeah, a kilo right now is at how much? 4,000 shillings? 4,000, 2,500.
It's around 2,000. Yes.
Where do we rise the price determinants? Is it from the farmer? Is it from the distributor? Where is the chain? Where do we stop at which part of the chain do we stop at and the price goes high? What happens? Because the bean itself, the maize bean, the seed, a kilo goes for roughly 300 shillings, probably.
It's an average of 700 shillings.
You see now, if it is at 700, then probably storage is the issue. That these people, where are they storing? Because I had a friend of mine who was supplying to UN, and there's certain bags that they had to withdraw. No, we are not taking those bags because there is matter in this maize. Probably it has not been stored well, and now we can't take that, but we'll take the other. So all these issues, where do we get to hiking the prices on food? On food in the country, especially for maize that holds a 90% consumption.
Yeah, a number of factors come into play. Remember, the food prices are determined by the forces of demand and supply. Once there's adequate food on the market, the price may go down. But once the food supply is short, there's a shortage of food supply, then the prices have to rise. So it depends on the season. Like when you have just harvested, the price of the grain together with the other maize products, including maize flour and maize bran, the prices are usually low. But as you continue harvesting and going into storage, then the price continues to rise. Yeah, so we as narrow, we have no control. It is basically the forces of demand and supply. Supply. As a country, there is a big need or a great need to invest in infrastructure. Which can help in handling, particularly ensuring that transportation, drying, storage. Even before reaching that, we need to first of all ensure that the quality of the maize is very good. So you need to harvest it properly. It has to be harvested timely at the right moisture content. Then you dry it properly. Then in the process it has to be sorted properly. You have to exclude.
This is all done by extension workers. Do they train the farmers?
Yeah, the farmers, they are trained by the extension. We also do the backstopping activity. Because we have a number of on-farm activities. So occasionally as we are harvesting, we demonstrate these practices together with the extension and the farmers. Yeah.
So let me give you a little break, and then I want to run quickly to Dr. Gabriel Damulira. Yes, and we want to have that discussion about horticulture. Now, horticulture, a bit of science, is the art and science of growing fruits and vegetables and flowers and shrubs and trees. Okay, tell us more about horticulture.
Thank you, Patricia, and our viewers. Actually, when you talk of horticulture, at times, even back in our station, there's always an issue whenever I rise to talk. because for us, our side have the biggest program to run in terms of commodities. While others are talking of 2 or 3, for me the number
is bigger.
enormous. Yeah, sure, beyond 17.
Yeah.
But in a nutshell, as you've said in a layman's language, horticulture is the heart of production, growing and production of fruits, vegetables, spices, herbs, flowers, ornamentals, and of recent also landscaping. Landscaping is coming into play. So it's really quite big. But as a country, we've harnessed a few areas in horticulture. Specifically, we are looking at vegetables because really they are very key in our day-to-day life in terms of provision of nutrients, provision of healthy growing factors for humans, and also food security. Actually, people think that horticulture cannot be part of the story of food security in the country. But I can give you an example of a pumpkin. It's an horticulture crop which can stay for even more than 6 months. So when you are talking about food security, really, also horticulture plays a bigger role. But we also have fruits.
Yes, it does play a big role because the heart of Caadp is at, yes, food security, but nutrition security. And that's where horticulture comes in. Now, as you have seen there on the screen, we are having 3 splits. One is what's happening at the airport, Entebbe Airport, a commercial area there. That's the first split. And then the second, that's what's happening at Munyonyo Resort, the Commonwealth Hotel there. So we will be updating you on what's happening there as the stories unfold, as statements unfold, as dialogue and discussions unfold. But in studios, I'm still joined by doctors. At the far left is Dr. Gabriel Damolida, Principal Research Officer, Program Leader, Horticulture in National Crops Resources Research Institute, NACRI. And next to me is Dr. Charles Wanga Kasozi, Principal Research Officer, Maize Breeder at National Crops Resources Research Institute, NACRI as well. So we are still delving a bit into horticulture. Yes, it's very interesting. You said something that we mentioned horticulture, even in the meetings at your office. Yeah, it's like people are like, oh, it's just vegetables. Here comes the vegetable guy. Yes, but it's very, very important because even at the topical issues in Caadp, we see that nutrition has been centered. And in Uganda, you find that a lot of households have engaged themselves in horticulture. Can we talk a little more into that?
Yeah, in terms of production for horticultural crops, mainly is at household and at subsistence level. But there are some key commodities which have outgrown that kind of production system, where we see that they have gone beyond the household, but they are earning an income for the country as exports. So for food nutrition at household, we really emphasize the vegetables, especially our local ones. We have what we call the exotic vegetables and the indigenous vegetables.
Exotic?
Exotic, those which were brought in as we developed agriculture, but we have the indigenous, the nakati, the spider plant, dodo, amaranth, all those at the household, and they really play a bigger role. And of recent, we are also seeing them coming up from the household level to the markets, because
so some of these veggies, like there's the red carrot.
Yeah,
I don't like red carrot. And then there's what is that? There's that three types of cabbage. There's the purple cabbage, the red cabbage,
Chinese cabbage,
the Chinese cabbage. Yes, and then there's that other and that other cabbage that usually is used for salads. So a variety of these. Are we having them here, or they are imported from within the region?
Those are what I may categorized as exotics.
The exotics. Okay.
Some are brought in, but others are grown within the country.
Within the country.
So we only import in the seed and cultivate them here. But when
sukuma wiki.
Sukuma wiki, yes, comes from Kenya,
Okay.
but still we have the seed and we can still cultivate it here. But what I mentioned about the indigenous ones, those are the ones which we find when we go back to the villages.
They grow by themselves.
They grow by themselves. It's of recent that people are adapting to grow them in the normal way. But as you mentioned about the nutritional factor, I wanted to mention this. While other crops we struggle to biofortify or induce the nutritional factors within them, for most of our indigenous vegetables, they are naturally having these nutrients and what we may call the health factors. So meaning that as we struggle to enrich other foods, I think under Caadp we should even emphasize the vegetables because they are the immediate kind of source of nutrients at household. Can you imagine that for like expectant mothers, they need iron and zinc? But this is something you can obtain from African eggplant, you can obtain from
the biringanya.
amaranth, biringanya eggplant. All those are embedded within there. Meaning that if we harness this resource, we can really be self-sufficient in terms of food and nutrition security at household level. Because we are dealing with farmers who are resource constrained, who are poor. We may mention about these exotic kind of vegetables, but the affordability at household may not be possible.
Because a bunch of some of these veggies goes for 1,000 shillings, 500 even.
Actually, it's more than that. If you go to Nakasero, a bunch of lettuce is just a leaf. Goes up to
In fact, that's the word I was looking for. Lettuce.
Yes,
It sounds like, you know how born again speak in tongues.
Tongues.
It sounds like tongues. Lettuce. You know. So lettuce. That veg that works on the joints of the bones. If you consume it quite often, then you strengthen your bones and okay, that's very beautiful. So that, you say it's expensive?
It's very expensive. But what it provides, even our local amaranth, the red amaranth, can provide
Can also
it.
provide.
Because as we provide for different category of people, yes, in Kampala people can afford lettuce, but way back in my village in Zimbabwe, someone may not afford it, but they may have amaranth, which can be a substitute for that, and which is affordable.
For the viewer out there to understand amaranth in a little bit in Luganda, we want to eat these veggies. We don't want just to engage in the discussion. We want to go back home and have those veggies. So probably into the camera and tell them what is amaranth, lettuce.
Lettuce, those are exotic, but amaranth is locally known as dodo.
Yeah, lettuce is more like a cabbage. It has the texture of cabbage. You can actually fry your egg and then you put tomatoes and onions and roll it, and make like a sandwich. It is very beautiful. It is lovely. And you can eat it raw. So, and then amaranth?
Amaranth, that is the dodo.
We
have the red
and then the green one.
Then we also have one which is common, that is the spider plant. That is the jovio. Actually, in terms of health attributes, jovio is one of our best African indigenous vegetables.
The one that's like aloe vera,
it's a bit bitter, but that bitterness is where the health attribute lies.
Okay, in just a few minutes we will be heading to Munyonyo, but just probably to let you know that there is a new arrival. The Minister of Lesotho, that is the Deputy Prime Minister of Lesotho, Mr. Majara Mfomeng, has also arrived. Yeah, he's also in Kampala. Again, this is day two, the second day into the summit, the Comprehensive Africa Agriculture Development Program, Caadp. So new arrivals will keep coming in, and of course it will climax on 11th, that is tomorrow, on Saturday. So we will be heading to Munyonyo straight away. Let's go to Munyonyo.
Our time is very limited. I will ask you kindly to just ask one question per person so that we can accommodate as many questions as possible in those 10 minutes. So thank you very much once again, and welcome to those who are joining us from the live audience that's online. Thank you so much. Commissioner, I hand over to you.
Thank you, my dear sister, for giving me the floor. Ladies and gentlemen from the press, allow me to provide some background or context about what we've been doing and where we reached up to today. So let me just tell you how this process of the post-Malabo Caadp agenda started. In February 2024, that was last year, during our 37th session of the Head of State and Government Summit Assembly, the African Union Commission presented the 4th Caadp Annual Review Report to the African Head of State and Government during our 37th Ordinary Session of the African Union Assembly. When we submitted the biannual review report, this biannual review report is the assess of the implementation of the Caadp flagship program. So every 2 years we present a biannual review report on the indicators of the 7 commitments of Malabo. So last year, His Excellency Abiy, the Prime Minister of the Federal Democratic Republic of Ethiopia, is the leader of this flagship program. He presented to his peer the 4th edition of the annual review report on the tracking progress on the Caadp from the 7 commitments of the Malabo Declaration. So they noted with concern that no single country was on track to meet the Malabo Declaration goals and targets by 2025. This is a 10-year action plan. This is a 10-year strategy, and 2025 was the expiring of the Malabo Declaration, but the report informed us that no country was on track to meet the ending hunger by 2025. That was one of the indicators that we most need to end hunger on the continent. So this one was not met, but it is not because it was not because member states did not make progress. They made some progress, but the benchmark to reach there was very high. It was 7.8 over 10. So no country reached that score, but they were above 5. At least 18 countries were above 5 to reach that goal that we set to end hunger. But they could not end hunger completely because the bench was high and they didn't score that indicators. So that was why, as such, they directed. With these results, the head of state and government present in this in the African Union Assembly, they instructed us to come out with a new post-Malabo 10 years action plan, because the Malabo is going to expire 2025. That is this year. So what we did, and they gave us the directive, African Union as well as the AUDA NEPAD, to work with partners to develop the post-Malabo Caadp agenda that will respond on the challenges and opportunity facing Africa agri-food system. In response to the directive of the head of state and government, the African Union has led the development of a new 10-year Caadp strategy and action plan 2026-2035, whose vision is to build resilient and sustainable agri-food system for healthy and prosperous Africa. Because when you look at the shocks this sector has been going through, we really need a resilient program because of the impacts of the climate change. We also want a sustainable, in order also to reach the goal of the Agenda 2063, the SDG, the global agenda. So that's why we gave ourselves, this type of approach to go more on a resilient and sustainable agri-food system, so that we can mitigate the impact of all these shocks that are coming, and to be in line with the aspiration of Agenda 2063. The design and preparation of the the Kampala Caadp process have resulted from remarkable collaboration among a broad spectrum of stakeholders. We had the regional economic community. We engaged with them because we said that it is a continent, so we as a continent, we have to start our policies at the continental level, and then we go at the regional level, and we go at the national level to go and do these public policies on different areas. If it's the youth, we go and do the youth in agriculture. So that is really all the framework is talking about. So we have the regional economic community, the technical working group. I'm just coming from there they also have a side event. I'm coming, that's why I delayed. I had to go and really thank them and deliver the opening of that side event. We had the experts, we have the researchers from African centers of excellence, we had the farmers organization, development partners, parliamentarian, private sector group, youth group, women in agriculture. All have played essential role in shaping the process. That is to say, the process was very, very inclusive, and after that we had they gave very collective contribution, and it was very inclusive, and we came out with six bold strategic objectives. One of them, the first one, is to accelerate the production of agriculture in agriculture. The second one is to look at the agri-industrialization. We want to process, we want to go to value chain. And the third one is, it's under the first pillar of the commitment that our head of states are going to adopt tomorrow. And the other one is the trade. We have the advantage today to have the IFCFTA, and most of the trading system on the continent, I can say 75% are from the agriculture product and agriculture service. So we have to take opportunity on that sector to create job for our youth. The second one is about that's why we say this new strategy did not came out from the Malabo and Caadp principles and values. Is almost the same. We are looking about investment and financing the sustainable agri-food system. The third one, we were looking at the issue of food security and nutrition. Because in Malabo Declaration, we did not emphasize on nutrition. We're just saying food security. But now we want to be broader. That's why we're saying agri-food system. So we are talking about all the steps, to produce food and provide it to final consumer. And the sixth one, we're talking about the inclusivity. We had a very big debate since yesterday with the Ministers of Agriculture and Ministers of Agriculture about that particular pillar, because we say that inclusivity, we want it to be inclusive with the youth, the women, and marginalized people. But some delegates, some countries, they don't want to use the phrase marginalized. They said that we are all independent, nobody is marginalized. So we came out in a consensus at the end of the jointly ministerial meeting between the Ministers of Agriculture and Foreign Affairs. We say, okay, let us use the term that everybody, the vulnerable, the most vulnerable community, all of them. So we took all that also into the account to the new strategy and action plan. And the sixth one, it's about resilience. We want to build a resilient agri-food system, because we know that because of climate change, agriculture is one of the sectors more affected by the impact of climate change. And the sixth one, it is just like accountability, but we're saying agri-food system governance. We want an agri-food system governance whereby, we know that we do accountability, we do monitoring, we do evaluation, we follow up, so that we will not fall again on the gap that we left during the Malabo Declaration. So today, since yesterday, these 3 days here in Maputo, in Kampala, it was to submit this process. I went with you with the process. To submit the process. This is an organ of African Union, so we cannot just say that it is approved. We have to respect the rules of the procedure in order to say that this is an African strategy for agri-food system. So that's why we started with our specialized technical committee. We submitted the document when it was ready. We complied the document. We submitted it on the 17th of October. The technical specialized technical committee, which is a ministerial, all the Minister of Agriculture, we produced. So here the program was 3 days. So yesterday it was the Ministers of Agriculture to review that document, see if there is a more complement before we submit to our head of state. Today we came with the Executive Council, which are the Minister of Foreign Affairs, because they are the one in charge, that they have the mandate to submit the document to the head of state for approval. So we went through the due process, and tomorrow after the adoption, that will be the continental document. I thank you.
Thank you very, very much, Commissioner. Now we go into the Q&A section. Can I just have a show of hands for those who want to ask a question? And if you are called upon to ask your question, please quickly give us your name and the news agency that you're representing, and then ask your question. So I have seen one hand at the back, and then there is another hand in the front, and a third hand still on the one side. Okay. Can we go out through our questions quickly? If you need a microphone, do we need a microphone? Okay, perhaps you can come and use this microphone at the end.
T, 1, 2.
Okay, the first gentleman was at the back.
Thanks very much. My name is Ben Jumbe. I work with Nation Media Group. I have 2 questions. The first one is it not a shame that none of the African countries was able to meet the targets? And then as AU, why don't you put up some punishments or kind of I could say punishments for countries that fail to meet the targets that have been set, because at the moment many African countries are relying on donors, foreign donors, to feed their own people. How do we address that? The second one is...
Thank you. Perhaps let me go to somebody else.
I said I had to. I kindly request that you allow me to ask.
We had mentioned that let's do 1 question each because of the limited time. If we have time, we'll come back for a second round. Let's go to the second speaker.
Good afternoon. My name is Joram Paul Sonko. I work with UBC. Now, mine is about the African Continental Free Trade Area that she mentioned. I wonder though, did you in the meetings discuss about the free entry to the markets, especially for the farmers, and is there an opportunity for them to access these markets freely or at a cheaper rate, because we do have countries that are restricting others without visas to access markets? Thank you.
Thank you. Let's have the third question.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency, for the remarks. My name is Nelson Mandela Mohos from the New Vision. My question is kind of related to the question that was first asked on the failure to meet the target. I'd love to know precisely what do the countries say were the challenges they met, that hindered them from meeting the targets, and what do they say or propose that they are going to do about it so that they can meet the target? Thank you very much.
Commissioner, it's over to you.
Thank you very much for your question. Indeed, the first question was really to meet the target, and why didn't they meet the target? We say that they are not on track. What are the reasons? From what we had, because this one is not just yesterday, because this was a 25 months process, so all of them participated. All of them, they gave their own how they can better improve. Most of the things we all know, apart from having also the issue of the pandemic in 2020, because by the pandemic, before we presented the reports, they were on track, but now they are not. Mostly Rwanda is always the first country, the country that is the first best perform. So the issue is the shocks also affected. The conflict also affects the production of food, because when we have conflict, and also the climate change. Because in some country we can look at Malawi, Mozambique, because of a cyclone, and Zimbabwe, the farmers lost a lot of their production because of the floods, all these kind of things. Those are also one of them. The second one, it is also the issue of they produce, but the issue of post-harvest loss. They lose a lot. 30% of what our farmers produce, it's been lost on the fields because of lack of infrastructure, rural infrastructure, storage facility. All this, we have to look at it, and we really try to, we embedded it in this new strategy that the government should give priority on rural infrastructure, electricity, because some of them are like, when you look at vegetable, they are very perishable products. So if you don't store it properly, you will lose it. If you don't sell it properly, access to market is another very big constraint, but because they have to create, the government have to do all this infrastructure. It's not the African Union. And you went as far to say, why can't we penalize them? The countries are sovereign. We are not police. This is not a police organization where we have to arrest them. This is intergovernmental organization to look at the development agenda of our continent. Support is just like a secretariat. My department, I have a mandate for agriculture, blue economy, rural development, and environment. We have other departments who have infrastructure. So each department look at the sector for the development. We also have, of course, we need peace and security and political affairs. So that one we have this department. But we are just on the policy level. In terms of implementation, this is the responsibility of the member states. And the other issue that why they are not on track, their government also are not putting the 10% with this decision of Maputo Declaration 2003 is very clear, at least. Because yesterday we had a conversation with some countries, and they are right to complain. They say we cannot reach 10% to allocate in agriculture alone because our GDP is very small. So these countries, like the island, the seeds, the small island countries on the continent, they brought it up. But we cannot also change a decision of head of state. So we have to get a compromise. We finished. We approved the two documents. That is the strategy and the action plan and the Kampala declaration. It's been endorsed because it's the head of state that approved it. They endorsed it. This meeting of today. So all these issues that we know the issue is just the political will in some country is not there. The priority is not there. And the commitment that they made to do 10%, many of the countries do not. So I hope this time with this new lesson, and we know that the two recent shocks serve as a lesson for us to change the narrative. That is the dependence of importation. We import our food. 38 countries in Africa, they don't produce, they import food. And with the issue of climate change, I mean the impact of COVID, all these markets, there was no transportation of food on the world because it was a global issue. So we had to reflect, how can we get our food sovereignty in case of these shocks? Because in Africa, we don't have a food reserve. So, because we are dependent on this market. We wanted to buy rice in Thailand. Everything was closed, They banned exportation. So those are the areas that we took it well. We also had the advantage to be to have a African common position because the Secretary General of the UN, Mr. Guterres, he called for a summit on food system. And we worked, during 1 year we are preparing our own position, the African position for that summit. So most of these things, these issues that I'm saying, it is there in our common position. The common position has about 43 game changing. So if our member states go through that, they can correct the narrative and the way they are doing agriculture. The second one is about the IFCFTA. It is true that how can IFCFTA be really, working, function very well when we still have issues like a visa, issues like access to market. So we are working. I know that my colleague Muchanga is even here. We are working in terms of in economic integration of our continent. So during the integration, I'm sure they will start looking at all these aspects among the member states so that we can put those measures to eliminate the passports so that we will be the free movement of women's and of women and the goods amongst our region. If you look at the West Africa, this thing doesn't exist. They have already got a very good integration. They have the same currency. They don't need visa to travel. They travel with this thing among that region. So we need to do it. I think SADC is trying to do also some opening in terms of acquiring visa, because all the members of SADC today they don't show visa. I think East Africa was it. Yeah. So those things are coming because it's a new initiative, it's a new program. So we have to have time, but we are looking at all these things because we have to have a free market. We have to have good roads. So infrastructure is one of the problems, and integration is also another problem about the visa. Failure to meet the target, as I think I answered the first question, is lack of investment also. So we don't have investment, but now countries are committed really to look at this aspect because they also want to make sure that they go beyond just agriculture. That's why we are calling it sustainable, resilient agri-food system transformation on the continent.
There was a third question. What was the third question?
It's almost the same thing.
Okay, all right.
It was because how to meet failure to meet the target.
All
yeah,
right.
It's combined.
Thank you.
I talked about IFCFTA. It's the free trade I'm talking about. I said we still have the challenge of visa, and we still have a challenge of integration, but the member states are working on the integration in order to ban all these, all these obstacles that or bottleneck that impede us to go through the free trade. But we are working on it. We are doing the regulation, because if you want to trade, you need to do regulation, food safety mechanism. All this type of ecosystem has to be present and standardized to all the continent. Huh? Yeah, because it's starting.
All right, so we go into a second round of questions. And I'm going to start this one with a plea that if there are women journalists, please feel free to ask your questions. We really want to make sure that we have a 50-50 representation. All right, so on the left side, I'm still not seeing any hands going up. So let me come back to you, and I think the gentleman at the back had a second question. You had a second question. Or
okay, thank you so much. Okay, my question was related to what you've responded to. That's why I was a little bit hesitant to ask, but I may ask now that I believe that Africa's got enough food. The problem is intra-Africa trade, food trade. I mean, you've pointed out some, indicators of trying to move that direction. But how fast can we move to see that we prevent those barriers or get rid of those barriers that prevent intra-Africa food trade?
okay, and then the final question, we come back to this gentleman.
Thank you very much for the opportunity once again. You mentioned that there are about 18 countries that at least performed a little bit better than the rest. I would love to know what are those countries. And then, since the conversations have actually been dominated by issues of inclusivity, equity, including women, youth who are actually on ground doing the farming, what opportunities are likely to come out of this 10-year strategy that, the youth, the marginalized persons can actually leverage in the long term? Thank you very much.
Let me just, if I have it. Just a moment. I will give you the countries. Okay, let me answer the first one, the inter-African trade. To say that the inter-African trade is working very well. We have the Secretariat, because it has only 2 years since it entered into force. We have the Secretariat, which is based in Accra. We have a Secretary General. We have a big structure that we are looking at all these issues of trade. So I believe that in 5 years' time, things will be okay. We wanted to kick off very early after approval, but because of COVID during 2 years, nobody was working. So we started just recently, and we are looking at all the issues of promoting the inter-African trade. That's why I said in this new strategy here is one priority number one. Production and inter-African trade and agro-industrialization, because we don't want just to, we don't want to trade just the raw material. We want to transform this raw material to give opportunity, job opportunity to our youth, so that we can sell finished product. And when you add value, you gain more. It's more efficient than just to sell the raw material. So we are working in it. That structure is already functioning, and will let us give them time. But we believe that we are all trying to support them so that we start. We were doing the inter-African trade, but now to do a more modern, more efficient, and efficient inter-African trade. The second one, what are the countries that they are not on track, but they performed well. Like Rwanda was only the three since my 80 years of tenure in African Union, I produced four biannual review reports to take stock of the implementation of member states. So like I said, this time the benchmark was very high, and it was Rwanda for the best score, the best score still, because the benchmark was 8.9. So he had, Rwanda had 8.07 out of 10. So the small indicators maybe did not achieve, but it was okay. So then we have Morocco has 6.99 out of 10. We had Egypt 6.83 out of 10, which is good, because when you're in school, if you have this score, you pass one class to another. So, but we're just saying that we wanted really the best. You know, we couldn't get it by when you shift the benchmark to that level, because we want it to be 10 over 10. So each edition we try to upgrade the benchmark. So we have Comoros, the island, for the most improved score. The most improved score from the various biannual review reports. Because when we started the first edition, they were really down, but they are part of these 18 countries that are really doing well. So so those are the four, because usually when we evaluate, we look at the four best. Those are the four best that they had. You know that they were really, they score very good. So after trying to assess at the national level, we also assess at the regional level. And at the regional level, the region that had the best score, because they follow the policy here and they work with their member states, each region. So here, the Western African region, which is ECOWAS, special mention for best overall region performed. They had 503 out of 10, meaning that, like I say, they have the roads, they have facilities, so it's easier for them to do the inter-African trade and other indicators or commitment of our head of states. While no country was on track, 20, I even say 18, 20 member states were progressing well, which is Benin, Burkina Faso, Burundi, Cape Verde, Egypt, Eswatini, Ethiopia, the Gambia, Ghana, Kenya, Malawi, Mali, Morocco, Nigeria, Rwanda, Sierra Leone, Tanzania, Tunisia, Uganda, and Zimbabwe. So the best country, best performing countries by commitment. Okay, because we see also the commitment. Some countries is not only ending anger, but there is commitment. By commitment, we have Niger with commitment of one of the commitment number one on the commitment of the principle, because the number one was a principle of Caadp, this in the Malabo Declaration. So they had one. They did well. Eswatini on commitment number 2, enhancing investment financing in agriculture. They did well. So it's not only the food, but it is all these indicators that allow us to be food secure. And the commitment, the Ghana on commitment number 4 on halving poverty through the agriculture by 2024. Ghana did well. Rwanda on commitment number 5 on boosting intra-African trade in agricultural goods and services. And Ethiopia on commitment number 6, enhancing resilience to climate variability. And then Morocco on commitment number 7 on enhancing mutual accountability for action and result. To see that we have all the mechanism to track progress with our member states, and we have all the reports, the report. That's why this report is important, because this process became here the extraordinary summit, African Union Summit for post-Malabo Caadp agenda. It's very important, because if you have a framework, you facilitate the reform on the member state, and you facilitate them also. You support them in building their own national investment program through aligning with what we are doing here, all these indicators. That's the way we work. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Commissioner. That was Commissioner Her Excellency Ambassador Joseph Sako, who is the Commissioner for Agriculture, Rural Development, Blue Economy and the Environment at the African Union. And she was just giving us more details and also responding to your questions on the issue of food security and improved agri-systems, as she has mentioned. So let me take this opportunity to thank you very much, members of the media and other communicators who are here. And also let me encourage those who have questions related to the African Continental Free Trade Area to please see Molalet. He's our media coordinator, so that perhaps you can have an interview with the commissioner who is responsible for that. Her Excellency has already referred to it, that the commissioner is here. So thank you once again, all those who joined online and all those who are here live at Munyonyo Resort. Thank you. We'll meet again in another briefing. Bye-bye for now.
Briefing there at Munyonyo, and that was none other than Ambassador Joseph Sako, the commissioner right now of Caadp and the African Union Commission. Well, just to pick up from some of the things that she highlighted, putting aside a couple of questions that were asked by reporters there, she gave us a brief on the strategy. And she talked about 6 areas that they have strategized, but of course I picked about 3, and she talked about industrialization and then trade and inclusivity, and of course when it comes to trade, the intra-Africa trade, the intra-Africa continental trade, all these issues in there. And she mentioned the benchmark for the set scorecard. The benchmark had been 8.9%, but apparently no African country managed to achieve an 8.9%, and some of the reasons were the disasters that befell the world. We know the COVID-19 pandemic also interrupted a lot of activities there. She said that a couple of countries and within the East African region, like Rwanda, really scored well, an 8.0%. Then Egypt also there came in with a 6%. And well, Uganda might be in the 5% there. And this is to benchmark on ending hunger on the African continent. And that achieved, we are still blessed to have doctors in studios with us. Dr. Gabriel Dumba, I think that Damodida. I don't know why I keep calling you Dumba. We need to find out why. So, Dr. Damodida, we are so blessed to have you. Where we took off from, you were giving us details of, dietary, nutritional vegetables and the components and sources of these vegetables. So probably let's pick up from there and then we can continue.
Yeah, thank you, Patricia. As I was pointing out why we need these vegetables and as to why the country should really harness this potential, because when you look at the whole of Africa continent, actually Uganda, we are blessed in terms of just vegetables. Let me mention about vegetables alone. We hold almost the biggest diversity. In terms of diversity, I mean different types, in layman's language, types of vegetables. And for example, if we look at Uganda alone, the vegetables consumed in Central are totally different from those consumed in West Nile, meaning that within the country just, there is a lot of vegetables that can be harnessed to improve on household nutrition and food security as well. But also, as the world grow, we are not only looking at those. Vegetables now have become commercial, that even youth and women are embarking on vegetable growing to bring in generate income for the home. And we know of even women who have educated kids out of just vegetable growing. So really this is a resource as a country we need to harness to improve on our welfare. But as I mentioned that in Naro, we not only work on vegetables alone. Under horticulture program, we also have fruits. Fruits all over the world are key components in our health. An example in time, we have vitamins, which whoever gets flu, I recall during the COVID pandemic, everybody was running for a lemon. But previously we took lemon as just an ornamental tree, which someone would grow in his or her courtyard just for the sake of beautifying the compound. But we are seeing a situation where really during that pandemic it had become one of the critical fruit everyone could run for in the markets, in whatever place you would find it, it will be very, very vital. So after the COVID pandemic, really we came to realize that as Naro and as government, we really needed to harness our genetic resources. And also the president has also been emphasizing, you remember the time when he mentioned about our local onion, which when you cut it, the women know, when you cut
tears,
it, the tears come.
A rain of
so
tears.
really, those are some of really peculiar, or what we may call unique genetic resources we need to harness. Because when you go elsewhere, you may not find that onion. So we've really come up with a strong conservation strategy.
But do we still have those breeds around?
They are there.
Okay.
They are there when you move around the countryside. You find them there. But if we don't do much in terms of conserving them and also developing varieties out of them, we may stand a chance to lose them out of our country. But also, as maybe if we don't strategize well, because these are like unique kind of attributes, people from elsewhere, they can pick them from here, go conserve them elsewhere, and then in future they can be used to develop varieties. So
very interesting.
We are strongly looking at conserving most of our indigenous vegetables and fruit trees, so that even the generations to come are able to utilize these resources.
Well, thank
so
you very much.
Maybe later on I'll also talk about the conservation strategies we have, especially for the vegetables. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Damulira. Now I get back to Dr. Charles Ruanga Kasozi. There are certain crops that we know will thrive in Uganda, but may not thrive in another, country. For example, Europe also has got a cluster of maize that they plant, but their type of maize, can it survive on our very own land?
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, they do survive, only that there is an issue of adaptability, meaning that survival, they can just live, but the productivity level may be quite low because of adaptability issues.
Okay.
That's why you find that some crops, or rather some maize varieties, they do very well under medium altitude agroecologies, others under highland agroecologies, then under others at low altitude levels, meaning that their genetics is more suitable to those agroecologies. So survival, yes, they can survive, but the ratio of productivity may not measure.
Minimal.
Yeah, it may not be at a commercial level desired by a farmer. Yes.
So
please.
ecological functions are very important when it comes to land.
Exactly.
Yeah. When the ecological functions are not performing well, when all factors are not constant, then that means that land is somehow degraded
And
for specific crops.
yes, true or not fully true. Degradation is quite complex. Degradation, in our context, it is nutrient depletion, which is part of degradation.
Okay.
But although degradation can go to the extreme of erosion and the creation of gullies, something whereby you had some productive land and ends up being unproductive.
So the soil just depletes.
Yes, the nutrients get depleted from the soil. Yeah, meaning that you need to be regularly replenishing it with the missing nutrients.
And is it okay if we use a technology to kind of, you know, put additives that like nutrients into that soil to
yes,
be able
that is very
to
important.
better productivity?
And that's the role of our colleagues from the national laboratories, research institute. They guide on the nutrient requirement. What they do, they go and sample the soil, analyze to determine
which nutrients are
available,
and
which ones are which are missing, which are definitely required. So that's the guidance. That's the role they play. And it is advisable that whenever you are going to do any commercial production, you need to know the status of the soil in terms of the micronutrient, the macronutrient, and also the organic matter status. That can aid its productivity. Yes, please.
So does that mean that it is very possible to plant maize in areas that were previously unsuitable for maize growing?
Yes, true. It is very true. For as long as the soil properties have been enhanced. Yeah, for example,
this on the screen looks like hard ground. It looks like, you know, rocky and stony ground there on the screen.
Yes, please.
So does also that land qualify for maize growing?
That one, it depends on how easily it can be managed. But I was still get to that point of soil management. Remember, there are some soils where there is this tendency of low pH, whereby they are a bit acidic. So you need to raise the pH level by adding
pH
lime.
Leads to acidity.
Yes. So you need to add lime to make the pH a bit suitable for crop production. Similarly, you could find some other soils where there is low organic matter. Thereby, you need to have some manure or any other bio products which can help to revitalize the soil to make it more productive.
Rejuvenate it.
Yes, to rejuvenate it.
Okay.
Yes.
So right out there to the farmer, if probably a specific land wasn't suitable for maize growing in the past year, if they did all these things, come up with better mechanisms, more fertilizers into the land, prepare the land, better, then they can replant maize in that land.
Yeah, once that one is done with the guidance of the relevant
extension workers.
Exactly. And after bearing in mind that you are introducing the nutrients which are not there, because you could find that using my land is failing to be productive at all, not knowing that probably the soil pH does not favor the crop productivity, for our case, which is maize. Yeah, so we need to ensure that the soil has the right pH, it has other nutrient requirements.
But isn't that expensive for farmers first to assess the soil grade and level and then plant? Don't you think that the scientists, you doctors, will come up with very high prices to check your soil?
Thank you, and that's why I was emphasizing that can be done at commercial level,
Okay.
whereby a commercial farmer needs to invest in some money in soil analysis and management. But for our ordinary subsistence farmers, considering the acreage and the scale of production, it means that it might not be cost effective to invest in the what? In the analysis bit.
Soil analysis. So they rather refertilize the land and put more nutrients into that land.
Exactly. Which in most cases they use the locally available materials.
The bio, the cow dung. And
exactly. The rejects, the crop residues, the cow dung, or poultry litter, all those. That's what they use. Okay. And they are also good in replenishing the soil, although at a small scale.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much there. Now, back to Dr. Damalira. I wouldn't want to say Dumba again. So Dr. Damalira. Yeah. Flowers and trees. Let's talk about that a little.
Yeah.
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 Because there's some trees that are older than me.
Yeah.
How does that happen?
It happens because the way we look at fruits, fruits come from trees.
Yeah.
And from the scientific background, we may have colleagues from the forestry department, but in our kind of work, we always work in collaboration because horticultural fruit trees are part of the ecosystem of trees. But the only difference is that here the end product may differ. The other side you may have the wood and so many kind of stuff, but here our target is the fruits.
The fruit side.
But the nature of these growth of trees is almost the same for the different agroecologies. I would give an example of like we manage a station in Kamuli called Chige. This is a station which was established by Israelites way back in 1956. But if you go there today, the trees are still existing, meaning that under good management, even a tree can last for even 100 years. And surprisingly, these are outperforming even the recent citrus trees we are planting. So meaning that for trees, for sustainable kind of farming system, fruit trees are the way to go, because we can benefit from them and even the next generation benefits out of them. Except that for the current kind of production, they also face challenges like the way we see climate change effects affecting any other crop. So they are equally affected, but without such kind of challenges, still these are trees which can last for years and years. In terms of flowers, flowers are just natural beauty all over, wherever you are, even starting from home. And that is the beauty of having ornamental plants. These are plants admired by everybody. But as world over, people started appreciating why we need flowers, and that is the reason as to why we went into commercial flower production. Because as we think of flowers, there may be flowers which grow in a certain season, and there are those which may not grow at a certain point in time. So that's where the kind of trade in flowers came in. They may be needed in Europe during Christmas time when it's winter. But how do we harness the resources in Africa to grow these so that we can export them to Europe? So with that kind of appreciation over time and the beauty it creates wherever it is, it enticed people to go commercially to start growing flowers. But how did it start? Still, just as my colleague has said, From the crop point of view, you observe a trait which you may be of your desire, like maybe a red flower, a red rose. So when you look at the red rose, you say, okay, how do I modify it? Maybe to be a rose without thorns. So you start doing selection of among the many, which may be red but without the thorns, or they may be even white but with thorns. So, but how do you change that? So in the process we go through in what we call the breeding, we select until we come to what is desired by the end user. And that's also how the flowers came about. But in terms of the Ugandan context, apart from the flowers you see on the roadside, in your compound, we have companies which have commercialized into flower growing, and actually they are exporting it to Europe. And we have close to almost 17 companies doing that. So in terms of our...
And even the usage here for events management and all those organizations is quite diverse. I wanted to understand, because horticulture innovations are more into research, there are a couple of research teams around the continent who are researching on how to better horticulture innovatively. And my worry is the goal to achieve nutrition security is quite far from us a bit. Yes, we do have a variety of vegetables in the country, but are Ugandans really consuming these vegetables? Because some of them will tell you that my income will not allow me to have a spare or an extra sauce on the side. I may just buy beans and then cook with rice or with posho, but I don't have the luxury to buy a veg and add on to that meal. So that is very important. As we generate more horticulture products on the market, are Ugandans really consuming these?
Thank you so much, Patricia. Really, that is very pertinent in terms of our feeding habits. If you go to Europe, almost vegetables
a daily
meal, and they cannot miss on any meal because they have really come to understand the value of vegetables. Actually, when you see a plate of an European, you find veggies more than
80%
the actual
is vegetables on that
plate. I would think that as Africans, really for us we are even more blessed in terms of harnessing this resource. Why? For example, if you go out in the countryside, people complain that maybe the vegetables are very expensive. But from my personal experience, I would say that yes, we have a category which is expensive, but we also have a category which can cater for any ordinary Ugandan. For example, in Naro, in collaboration with World Vegetable Center, some 5 years back, we developed what we called a vegetable kit. This vegetable kit has a few seeds of 4 different varieties of vegetables. We have amaranth, we have African eggplant, ntula, we have kale. Kale is more like the leafy cabbage. Yes, just like skuma week. So the essence of this kit was for any ordinary Ugandan who would appreciate the importance of vegetables.
Who can even plant them at the backyard in sacks.
And you know what? You only need 2 or 3 meters in your backyard. Plant this and you have a daily meal with vegetables. And even those, as you mentioned, those who don't have even the 4 or 3 meters, sacks, like the kale. Kale can be planted on sacks. And you can even put just a sack on your veranda, grow this, and every day you pick a leaf and it's cooked.
How can one get those seeds? I would want them.
So when you come to a place, it was more of like a project which ended, but still we kept the seed.
You still have some kits?
Yeah,
okay.
we provide you with that kit and you go out.
And
so there's no excuse that vegetables are expensive.
Orientation on how I can plant.
Yeah, how
we have very
plant.
limited, land, especially in the central. If you buy a plot of land, some of us 50 by 100 feet, and then others are probably 30 by 50. So it's very small space, just to allow you to do your daily chores. So if you're saying I can get like 3 sacks and then planting different vegetables for daily consumption, I think that would be doable. So probably when we visit the office, if we visit the National Crops Resources Research Institute, NACRA, you can show us the way around. How do you do it? How do you, because there's a TikTok video I watched, I think it's the Chinese, they plant sweet potatoes and such.
Yes,
and they get Bensons out of,
True.
Bensons of sweet potatoes. And when you have small land, you can utilize that. And this is the information we need. Because now that Caadp is in the country, your advice, this dialogue that we're having is something that will change the narrative. This is what we're looking for. This is the information that we want to help farmers out there, to help consumers know their worth and how they can better live their lives healthy. So thank you very much there. Now back to Dr. Charles Kasubi. Yes, the contribution of maize in the agriculture sector, you've elaborated that so well, and we know that in my own view, I was of a view that maize is mainly grown in the western part of the country and in the central. The central are the likes of Masaka, Mubende. That's where we'll find more maize, and then also Busoga side. We see a lot of farmers coming from that side. But now you've enlightened me that maize is actually almost everywhere.
Very true.
Yes, and so that is information that really helps us understand the 90% consumption, and the variety of the seeds is where I wanted us to tackle a little bit more. Which is a suitable variety? Which is a suitable variety of maize variety for consumption, for commercial purposes? So probably you can break that down for us a bit.
Okay, thank you, Patricia. All the varieties
are suitable
for both consumption, human consumption, and livestock. Right, so I'm referring to the grain. For the forage, we need more research to categorize and screen the ones which are more suitable. But nevertheless, we have a few varieties which are being used for that purpose. We have very many varieties, as I told you before, that there are over 30 varieties with different attributes. The first of the attributes which these varieties were developed for were the diseases. We have had a number of foliar diseases in the country. We had the maize streak virus, name them. But the varieties we have currently on the market, they are all resistant to most of the foliar diseases in the country. But now we have a number of issues, climate change related issues. Now, when the effects of climate change have changed the dynamics of the pests and diseases in the country, and even the weeds. For example, before, we had some of the constituents were not as significant as they are currently, and we never had some of the pests. For example, recently in around 2015, we encountered the maize fall armyworm, which never used to be there, and now as a program in partnership with our international development partners, that is particularly the Center for Maize, International Center for Maize and Wheat Improvement, CIMIT. We are developing varieties, maize varieties which are tolerant to the fall armyworm. So now that will be help us to address the climate change issue in terms of tolerance to the emerging pests. Then we also have the challenge of drought and erratic rainfall. So we have over 10 varieties which have been developed, and these ones can produce reasonable yields even if they encounter some periods of drought. So all these can help us to maintain the productivity of maize in the country.
True.
We are also having the technology of earliness. Some varieties are early, so that when you plant it, you are able to harvest it before it encounters the drought.
Okay.
So we have a variety like MM3. It matures within 3 months. So if you have a short season, you are able to produce this variety and be able to get food against the ones which can take more than 4 months. So that's another climate adaptability strategy, whereby we are able to produce varieties which can produce food in a limited period of time. Then we also have a challenge of another climate-related issue, striga. Striga is a parasitic weed which is mainly encountered in the districts of eastern Uganda, the Busoga region, the Teso region, then West Nile, and also Kasese region. This parasite is very detrimental, and where it is encountered, you can register yield loss of up to between 30 to 100% if susceptible varieties are grown. So we are also so far as I indicated earlier, we released last year, the other 2023, we released a variety which is tolerant to this striga, and
which
now
can resist striga.
Yes, yeah. When you grow it under striga conditions, you can be able to get more than 4 tons of maize grain per hectare, as opposed to the susceptible ones where you cannot get even a single ton.
So that's the beauty of technology and coming up with more innovative ideas to better the agriculture sector.
Yes,
because in the past days, we would be fighting to eradicate the striga. We would be fighting to eliminate that weed. But now we are surviving with the enemy.
Yes, please.
So that is something that farmers need to rush for, because now if striga is in your garden, there's no need for you to rush and look for what you do is you plant a seed that can be resistant to that particular animal, or how do you call it?
It's a weed, it's a parasitic weed. Now, yes, partly you are right, but striga per se, a single management practice may not be adequate, because it's a very notorious weed.
Okay.
We need
continuous.
If you have a tolerant variety, then you also have to practice good management practices.
Now break that down. Break that down for us.
Yeah, we need to first of all ensure that we remove this weed from the soil before it flowers. If I may tell you, one of the the characteristics of this weed is that it produces very many seeds, which it bursts in the soil every season, and these seeds can remain viable in the soil for up to 20 years. So we should make efforts that
we
uproot those plants, the weeds, before they flower. Otherwise, if you allow them to flower, you'll be adding millions of seeds in the soil. So in addition to using the resistant or tolerant variety, need to add on good management practices. Removing or weeding the plant before flowering is one of them. Then there also are other practices like intercropping. You need to intercrop maize with the with beans,
Okay.
or other non-host crops. All those can help in what? Reducing.
So which are some of those non-host crops?
Yeah, the striga is mainly a parasite of cereals.
Oh,
that is
okay.
maize, rice, sorghum, millet, even sugarcane. But if you plant crops like beans, cassava, sweet potato, all those, name them, all these are the crops which are not cereals. They are non-host to what? To striga.
To striga.
So if you intercrop the ones which are compatible with maize or other cereals, if you can intercrop them, you can do what? You can minimize the effects of striga, the detrimental effects of striga. And then also, if you can rotate in a season, you move. If this season you plant a host crop, the next season you should plant a crop which is not a host to striga. So by doing so, you'll be reducing the striga incidence in the area, and even the severity.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you
So-
very much for that elaborative
So I was also
definition.
mentioning that we had the varieties which are tolerant to drought, the ones which mature early, then also the ones which are tolerant to what? Striga. Then we also have the ones which are, my brother here has indicated the issue of nutritional security. So maize predominantly is rich in carbohydrates, but of late we are also developing varieties which are rich in nutrients. Like we already have varieties on the market which are rich in provitamin A. You know the benefits of vitamin A rich foods. Then we also have varieties which are rich in proteins, and in pipeline we also still have varieties which are rich in zinc and iron. So hopefully in the next few years they will be on the market. So that's how we are integrating our technologies to be able to fit into the new, into the climate climate change effects.
Okay.
Yeah, the detrimental effects of climate change.
Okay.
Yeah.
We're having a feed from Munyonyo, but when we return, Dr. Damalira. Okay. Yeah, in a while, in about a few minutes, we will be going to Munyonyo. Over there, there's another press conference, but probably arrival updates. We do have His Excellency, Evariste Ndayishimiye, the President of Burundi. I don't know whether he has arrived yet, but yes, he's landing right now in the country. So we welcome all those dignitaries into the country, and of course they're here for the comprehensive Africa Agriculture Development Program, and it's of course Kampala. Yeah, Kampala Declaration is up next after Malabo. So before we head over to Munyonyo, as you can see that the small split there, the president is just landing right now. Yes, that is President Evariste Ndayishimiye, President of Burundi. So that's the split there, the small split on the screen. So as we continue with our discussion, Dr. Damalira, do we have statistics of vegetable consumption? Do we have some statistics which we can rely on and say, yes, our country is eating healthy, our people are eating healthy, regardless of whether they can afford the veggies or not? Do we have statistics to that we are a country that is eating healthy?
Thank you, Patricia. In terms of statistics, currently we rely on what we call World Health Organization statistics for food.
Okay, just a minute. As you can see those pictures on the screen, that is the President of Burundi arriving Yes, we will keep having more arrivals into the country for the Caadp Kampala Summit 2025. As you can see, people are waiting to welcome him and the protocol team into our country. And they're all for one cause, bettering the agricultural sectors in the African continent. Yes, and Uganda, we are blessed to be the hosts of this particular summit. Yes, we brace ourselves to welcome more big dignitaries into the country. Yes, as you can see, a few people there marching to go and welcome the president. Yes, interesting there. So we will be bringing more updates on this arrival, and of course he will be welcomed into the protocol room where they will have a welcome note to His Excellency, and then we will see where they head from there. You can see they're laying the red carpet for His Excellency President Evariste Ndayishimiye, President of Burundi. Well, we welcome you all into our beautiful country, endowed with natural resources, beautiful soils, amazing climate. We are blessed to be the hosts. Yeah. Okay, I guess we can have some of those. Okay, well, that is the arrival of His Excellency President of Burundi, none other than His Excellency Evariste Ndayishimiye. Yes, and of course he's into the country right now. As you see, he was given a warm welcome, by different stakeholders here in our very own country, and you can see he's marching to the protocol room, of course, to be welcomed even more. So we will be witnessing more of these arrivals as they unfold. But back to studios, I would want to allow these amazing men of God, the doctors, to make their wrap-ups and then head out of the studios. Thank you for my... I guess I should start with Dr. Charles. Give us your wrap-up.
Thank you.
And thank you so much for presenting with us.
You're welcome.
You've been very insightful. You've given us a lot of information in the area of maize growing. You elaborated very well the challenges that the maize industry is facing. And I think any of the people that are watching should pick a leaf from what you've said. So just give us a wrap-up, and then we have Dr. Damulira wind up his part of the discussion.
Thank you, Patricia.
You're welcome.
Thank you, viewers. I'm encouraging all viewers, and particularly maize farmers, to embrace our new maize technologies. As indicated, we have a number of good and appropriate technologies on the market. We have high yielding and resilient varieties. There are over 30 on the market. They are addressing different traits, exhibiting different attributes. And then we also have a number of management practices which are well documented in a number of information, education, and communication materials which are distributed countrywide. And also, I encourage them to use even good and proper post-harvest handling practices. I forgot to mention about a new technology. It's called the AfraSafe technology. This one is very important in addressing the aflatoxin problem. It is a product.
A challenge for distributors,
you know, aflatoxins, it is a storage problem which leads to contamination of
the
grain on the market. When the maize is attacked by the aflatoxin producing fungi, it produces aflatoxins, and these aflatoxins, they are very toxic, they are harmful to both humans and livestock. So we have technologies, the AfraSafe technology. This is very important. It is applied 2 to 3 weeks before flowering. It is applied in the maize field, and once it is applied, it suppresses the aflatoxin producing fungi, so that when the grain is harvested, it is free from aflatoxin. So that's the message I'm conveying to our listeners, particularly maize producers and handlers, to embrace our new maize production technologies. Thank you so much.
As you're winding up, Dr. Damulira, I would like as well to appreciate you for standing in with us, I guess, right from when we started the interview. But as in your closing remarks, I would want you again to talk about improving fruit and vegetable production, because that is something that we want to all, as Ugandans, realize in the agricultural sector.
Thank you, Patricia. It's good that you brought it. Actually, I'd looked at it as one of my message to the country or to the viewers. You also asked something very pertinent about the statistics of vegetable consumption in the country. Actually, our consumption is based on the World Health Organization recommendation for per capita. The last article I read, they recommended per capita consumption by World Health Organization is 162 kilograms per person annually. So in a year you are expected to take 162 kilograms. But the last survey done